Let me know if that's working. Geno the gnome, if you're there too, let me know. Can you hear me? Can you hear anything? Can I hear anything? Do I have any sound?
I can hear Discord, but checking on the stream.
Ba 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 ba, doing some talking.
Yeah, now I can hear stream.
Woohoo! So yeah, all I did is restart OBS. That annoys me even more. So it's not even a hardware issue; it's a software issue. Anyway, I'm just gonna put this on, put that on. Gino the gnome, welcome. Oh, sorry, no the gnome. It's not Gino because it's a silent G.
Echo check. 5.
Okay, that's exciting.
It's not too echoey, I think. Let me know in the chat or us.
Hey, there we go. Right, hello. Now I need to reset everything. It's very hard when you're in VR and you're trying to reset it. You end up looking at the wonkies. I have to feel the steering wheel, close my eyes, feel that I'm forward, and then reset it. Right. Just go strap myself in. I wonder if Live for Speed has a Twitch plugin so I can watch all the things that's said on Twitch in the chat. That would be quite handy. That's the worst thing about doing VR streaming, is it's very hard to monitor the chat. And I know there are programs to do various bits and bobs, but no matter what PC I'm using, VR is a struggle performance-wise. Like, it always is. So anything that makes it slower does not get a thumbs up. Does not get a thumbs up. Well, this is not going to be my best lap time. Oh, this car is so gentle. I have considered buying a more powerful 4-speed back steering wheel, because when I went go-karting, the first thing that was hammered home is how much heavier turning the steering in a go-kart is than a 4-speed back steering wheel. And I have this cranked all the way up, as much as the wheel will do, and it's still a tenth of what a real car feels like. Oh, I just got a black flash then. This car's so nice and sedate, I love it.
It's a nice, relaxed environment to drive into.
Well, oh, you weren't there, but I mentioned this yesterday. And part of the reason I've been thinking about trading in my motorbike, because I have a insane motorbike. I have genuinely, it is the fastest production vehicle, mass production vehicle ever made, bar none. There is no Ferrari, Lamborghini, McLaren that's close to it. It's insane. But I can't really drive it. I really can't. Like, not out of lack of skill, but I can't open it up. I can't thrash it. You know, it has a top speed north of 200 miles an hour, on 0 to 100 in under 5 seconds. It's just insane. But the old saying goes, and it is true, and this is something I've been thinking about trading in the bike for something a bit more sedate. It's much more fun to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow. And in this case, this car is, this is pretty slow. This is like a 40-50 horsepower car, but you can chuck it around the corners. You can give it all she's got, and corners don't arrive too quickly. You don't run out of thinking time. And a nice long, slow sideways slides across the track. So when we go into the faster cars, you realise quite quickly that you're not quick enough. That your thinking time disappears very quickly. And that's what I found when I had my motorbike on track. I've been riding bikes for half a decade by that point. Suddenly, I can't change gears quickly enough. I can't use the controls quickly enough. And the same thing happens here. When you just, the corner's arriving very quickly, and you're like, I wonder what speed I should be doing. Does this feel right? It does feel right. Oh no, I'm upside down. It wasn't right.
Yeah.
And as I said before, my definite best fun in Gran Turismo 1, was not in the ultra fast silly cars. It was always in the Honda Civic. Had the most fun in a bog standard Honda Civic, top speed of about 85 miles an hour.
I guess that could also do with what's their area of competence. Appropriate challenge level is essential to get into flow.
Yes. Well, I mean, when we're driving these cars, it's probably more about who's the best driver. But when we're driving the very fast cars, there's a lot more luck involved, and then it's who happens to have the quickest reflexes, or who's the biggest coward. And I say, when you screw up in the fast cars, you screw up a lot. Whereas if I screw up here, I mean, I'm only going 10 miles an hour too fast. I'll just slide off a bit.
But dexterity checks are not random. It's not luck.
Yeah, but when you overcook a corner, when you go too fast into a corner, it is luck. Like, how much you screwed up by is...
Yeah, but I guess the fast cars require you to have safety margins. But the slow cars, you can push it to the limit quite easily, because it's hard to overshoot the limits.
Yes.
It's hard.
Yeah, you approach the limit much slower. So you as a non-race driver will realise you're approaching that limit and will ease off. I mean, I've been on track with Andy, and he screwed up a corner, but he screwed it up to the point where during the corner I could tell him what to do, argue with him, get him to do it, and him save the corner. Because this is the thing about this game, like on real racetracks, corners are much longer than this. These are very short corners. Like, even the longest corners are very short in this game. But yeah, see, Andy was oversteering this, and I'm like, less. He goes, what? I go, steer less. He goes, no. I go, steer less. And he steers less, and then suddenly, the car catches again. Because he was only driving a 1.2 Fiesta. Oh, here's your chance. I've just crashed. I crashed while trying to explain about oversteering. By oversteering.
Examples how not to do it can be very illuminating.
Yeah, but only if I meant to show how not to do it, rather than just accidentally ballsing it up.
Isn't most of screw-ups done unintentionally?
Yeah, but if I'm trying to say, and here's an example of, stalling an airplane, that's fine. But if I stall the airplane and then go, that was an example, that's less, you didn't make as much ground up as I thought.
I had a mini crash of my own.
Yes, I need to work out who in chat has got Carmageddon, by the way. I'm about 12/16 of the way through completing it now. So the host has to complete everything in order to be able to host everything. And it's like, oh god, it's quite a slog. But it's got a lot of interesting game modes. Hopefully they all work online. And it's really very good. I'm very surprised that they haven't released any more. They've done a whole bunch of Magic the Gathering ports and a game called Shock Rods, which is awful, apparently. So that's disappointing.
Ports, not copies.
So, what, sorry? Oh yeah, no, Magic the Gathering does a lot of games, but they've done like 6 or 7 Magic the Gathering games. I'm assuming Carmageddon didn't sell as well as they thought, but it's weird because it was their own engine and it looks really good. It's got lots of lovely tech, but I don't think they ever shipped it on console, which is odd because the original Carmageddon was one of those games that turned up everywhere. Like there's a PlayStation version and an N64 version and a Saturn version, and they're all terrible. They're all absolutely dire. But shipping your game on multiple platforms is a good way of making money. And I realise I am saying do as I say, not as I do. But I do want to think about porting stuff to the Xbox. Now I have finally got my Xbox Series X, I need to work out if and how I can convert my old XBX across to a dev kit. Oh dear, I've just crashed into the pit lane. That's not good. Because my original X... Oh, it's Fat Gus. My original Xbox is way too slow to consider porting stuff to. It's so old. Do you know what is the minimum spec? I guess it is still Xbox, isn't it? There's 4 Xboxes then. You've got the Xbox One, the Xbox One X, the Xbox Series X, and the Xbox Series X. But Todd was saying I should, you know, get off my arse and finish Nomancer. Fairway Train was supposed to come up on consoles. I hope Rob's joining us tonight. I want to chat with him and you about the spaceship game. I'm not even sure I like the name of it yet. But that one was designed for PlayStation VR as well, because that's the reason the whole game takes place forwards, not in 360 degrees, because the PlayStation can't do stuff behind you. Oh, now I take the corner well, now the race is over. Great.
But the consoles can do VR.
The PlayStation can do VR. Xbox has no VR support yet. Oh, I like your skin. And they're off!
And then the guess game of where the tackle is coming from. There. And I'm not doing the tackle. Improvement!
I left room on the right, maybe?
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been risky, but the room was there.
I did it by less gambling, by throwing dice, and more by actually looking whether it's clear or not.
Always a good plan.
It costs some seconds to look up, and that's attention away from other things.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think they teach you on motorbiking is you glance at a vehicle and you kind of estimate its speed and its direction, and then you should have a good idea when you should look again. Like, I don't need to glance now. There's nothing you can do. I can look ahead, line up at the corner, just for the corner, check again. That's cool. So if I'm coming up behind you and I go out of your rear view mirror, you should have a fairly good idea where I was last time you saw me. Even if you don't exactly know where I am now, you should have a sort of a ballpark feeling. Oh. So you have to try really hard when you're right there. I have to do all the corners properly, slow right down, go all the way out. Don't spin it like I did last time. You're dukes of hazarding it back there. I keep trying to reach out to angle the rear view mirror. Damn it, that's not a thing. I wish it was.
It could be, but it just isn't.
Well, when we get hand tracking on PC, it will be. I mean, the headset can do it, but there's no software support for it, not on any platform yet. And hello, possibly Si? Maybe Rob?
Hello.
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 So your microphone is as stellar as always.
So then air guitar games should be possible.
Codemasters prototyped an air guitar game where it came with a pair of gloves that you had to wear, like white cotton gloves, so it could track your hands through an air guitar game. Didn't go into production. Was hilarious to watch.
There is one, I'm sure. Someone was telling me about a question to air guitar.
Okay, go away. Go away and fix your microphone. It sounds like you are using a Bluetooth microphone next to a microwave with the door off. You go like that. Like it sounds like bandwidth you're struggling with. Oh, did you skid out a little bit there?
A little.
Ooh, good lap. Welcome back, Si. How's your microphone?
Ooh.
Well, how about just merely restarting Discord? Does that fix it?
No. It sounds like you are trying to stream your microphone and you don't have enough bandwidth. That's what it sounds like. It's a bit better than it was, but it's still proper. It sounds like you're on a wireless microphone and you're way too far from the receiver. Give me a sentence and I'll see what comes through.
Microsoft Edge is a media probe.
Okay, what you said was Pledge is a media.
Edge is a medium pro.
Oh, did you? I didn't get the word A. I got Pledge and then media. So it's not just me then, Shaka. It is you as well hearing Mr. Robo Garble. You think this would be a solved problem by now?
Yeah. If you get random things lost, that's hard to recover optimally.
Yeah, I mean, Discord doesn't do that. Discord will always send you the whole message. This is why TAD sometimes takes ages to come through, because he doesn't get garbled, he's just lagged. But Psy stuff sounds garbled, which is why I think it's a microphone issue, not an internet issue. Oh, you could take that.
Yes, very high reliability would have like very different solutions. You could try like run a voice recognition software on what's attempt them to be said, and then transmit only that to have shorter network usage.
Well, I mean, once you've captured the audio, which should be 100%, making sure it's transmitted 100% is easy. It's only when you have a maximum latency. But this is why quite often TAD is a couple of seconds lagged. It's because he's got such lossy upstream that we're waiting for the message to be assembled in the correct order at the Discord service before we get it. But have a listen to Tad. I mean, that's what Alfred say. His connection, his audio quality is perfect. Oh, we're so wide on that corner. It's terrible.
Yeah, braking too late is hard to recover from.
Yes.
But braking too early is much easier.
Yes.
Should favor that.
Absolutely. It's only when you are, say, I'm on fire here. It's only when you are, say, a proper driver that you can you can start braking very late, but genuinely, braking early does not affect your lap time anywhere near as much as braking late. Oh, see. Also, this car, because it's more of a road car, it can take the bumps. You don't, you're not slamming the suspension into its limits. But yeah, I'm going wide on every corner. I'm doing a terrible job of kissing the apex. Much better.
Restart.
You sound like now. It sounds like noise suppression's kicking in. I understand. No, that was fine. Give us another sentence about Edge.
Singapore has trialled patrol robots that blast warnings at people engaging in undesirable social behaviour, adding to an arsenal of surveillance technology in the tightly controlled city-state that is fueling privacy.
Right. You said until the into the tightly controlled city-state. Perfect. Then you went but 90% good.
Well,
Oh, and 0%. No, you've Can you listen to yourself back to sound okay in the preview? Wow. Should we try some AI cars then, Schalke? Try some back markers. Mine are still on learner.
Can I have one of each?
Yes. Well, once you add them, you can then set their level. See, it's got the 2 or whatever next to it.
That's one of each from me.
I'm not going to put mine any higher than 5 because they'll just beat us. Not on this lap, because this lap will be in front. But yeah, I started VR Space Mare on my Oculus CV1, so I've been through like 5 VR headsets, and every time I get a new headset, it just looks a lot better. So now it looks really, really good. Like, the game hasn't got any better, just the rendering hardware. It's one of the things I said to people, like, usually Russian people saying that they're running on like an ancient 4.3 monitor, and my response is just stop buying games, save up for a better monitor. All your current games will just look so much better. You're being beaten by the AI. Are they? Oh, you can't tell if they're mine or yours. That's a shame. I wonder if there's a way to give them a better name, depending on whose AI they are. Alright, nice and tight. Nice and tight. Here we go. Much better.
It's as if feathers that are used often are more polished and have more options.
Sorry, say that again. What more polished?
Like, I would imagine that nobody uses AI, so their naming conventions and options for them are a little limited.
Yes, I suppose so.
But I guess somebody uses them. So
well,
that's
we
keeping
do.
the fear terrain. Yeah.
Well, you'd have to be an anal person indeed to remove a feature you didn't think any players were using, and be prepared for some blowback on forums. Okay, you can take that chicane at about 90 miles an hour.
You can also not take it at about 100 miles per hour.
Maybe you've just got to bump two wheels up each chicane each time. But not too far up, or you will roll the car.
I hate Windows.
Ah, that's good.
Well, I think the input volume's set very low.
You weren't quiet, you were just stuttery, like digitally
Yeah,
stuttery.
because I think it's compensating for a very low input.
Maybe.
I just need to find the input volume slider.
You sound good now. Like 100% so far. Tell me about Korea.
Okay. hang on.
And what's a social behavior?
You know, kissing and playing Pokemon Go.
Okay. Ah, there was an NRE in the spinal laser code. Works now. I'll upload another build in a bit. I can't remember how many, if any, more levels there are. Possibly, if I get the combat levels playable, just doubling the amount of cash/tick will mean you get through the game okay.
Cash per tick. Ugh, honestly.
How was that?
That was good. That was good. Perfect.
Cash per tick. I've not been following your conversation.
I can give you a copy, by the way. I think you might be a bit below minimum spec though, but it might be playable. It should automatically balance itself with a dynamic resolution scaler to keep you at frame rate on your machine though.
Well, I'd run it on the Shadow PC.
Ooh, exciting! Yeah, that should work.
Alright, so if the audio is working now, that
Yep.
is of course because I have changed absolutely nothing,
Well,
and this is Windows.
excellent. Well, are you on a wireless headset?
Well done, me. Yeah.
Yeah, that to me sounded like interference, low battery, crap signal, someone had wrapped the antenna in tinfoil, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I guess nowadays having your airwaves free of electronic interference can be a form of home peace.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, if you want to knacker up your Wi-Fi speeds, microwave something. It just blasts out so much, you know, it is shielded, but it still blasts out a huge amount of RF energy out into the air. You know, I'll happily knacker up trying to use, like, you know, streaming video or something like that.
I wonder whether somebody has sued somebody over for excessive microwave use in inopportune times. As a neighbor or something.
Possibly. I mean, you have got the situation where people will buy GPS jammers, Wi-Fi jammers, cell phone jammers. You can get them that plug into like the 12-volt socket of your car. So anyone near you can't use Wi-Fi or GPS or cell phone.
And is that like a unregulated activity, or is it...
Oh no, it's completely illegal. You're definitely not allowed to transmit radio energy on frequencies without a license or a reason. Like GPS spoofing's dangerous, but like where I used to live, down in Portreath, there's a RAF base, and the GPSs don't work near it. And I don't know, I don't have any sort of definitive proof, but the feeling was always that they run GPS spoofing in a couple of miles around the military base, which happens to cover a seaside village, to stop people measuring it or using it or something there. Only the military one works. I don't know the exact ins and outs, but it was always around the military base. Like your GPS would just sort of screw up and teleport you into the ocean, and then you'd teleport back and all sorts of weirdness.
Like Area 51.
Yeah, but it's Porthcurno military base. A little bit less exciting. Probably no aliens. Shalka, have you played Space Team?
Space Team? No, I don't think.
Oh, I was going to use it as an example, and now I need to come up with another example.
Of?
So I'm trying to work out more to add into VR Space Station that doesn't involve starting the game again or having to rebalance all of the levels and redo them. One of the things I was thinking of in Space Team, when you get to the later levels, and normally you just click on a button or pull a switch, but in the later levels, like goop would cover up the buttons or the panels would fall off and you'd have to reattach them. So essentially it added a little bit of physical dexterity in order to accomplish something that you would accomplish normally. I was wondering if I could come up with any anything similar. That didn't work. I guess my keyboard.
I guess like designing the docks would be one thing. It would not affect anything, but it's something that you need to do, and if you need to do it, why not make it pretty and like personal? But that's probably lots of work.
Yeah, this is the thing. I can think of lots of cool ideas. I mean, Rob's come up with some. They're just not ones I can fit into a time frame. So as I said earlier, my keyboard that I have magnetically attached to my rig has the magnets fell off. So I've just had to rearrange it, so I've got another keyboard. Dora, it's a keyboard, leave it alone.
So recently I've been playing PokerStars VR with a couple of friends, which is very good and really immersive, gives you a real sense of sitting around a table. There's lots of silly toys to play with, and you can throw objects at each other. It's a bit distracting, but it's good novelty. The menu is, as is often the case with VR games, on your wrist, so you can tap your wristwatch and you get a sort of pop-up menu. Because it's a computer poker game, only you can see the face of your cards. For everyone else, the faces of your cards are blank.
Alright, so you can't... Is there not a mode?
But you can choose to show them.
Can you turn that and then turn on mirrored sunglasses?
Well, you can choose to show them. There's also like a selfie camera in game that you can pick up and take pictures of yourself. Well, if you show your cards to the camera, on the picture that comes out of the camera, you can see your cards, but other people still can't see your cards. Even if you take a picture of a picture, the permissions on the card faces is still true, which is really neat.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah. The other thing is that I was sitting opposite my friend who often taps his wristwatch to bring up the menu, and one time I saw him just look at his wristwatch, and I thought, oh, did you just check the time? Because the in-game, that wasn't very good, sorry for that. The in-game wristwatch is a real-time clock, and looking at your wrist to check the real-world time is so natural. We were doing it without even thinking about it.
That's cool. Shalka, by the way, my AI just lagged and drove into your AI, or vice versa. There's definite lag going on between our two computers there. Yeah, I was saying to Shalka, I've developed this game over a great many years, and it just looks so much better than when I started, because the headset I'm using nowadays is so much better than the one that I started developing it on. And
it's less forgiving as well.
Yeah, but it just there's so I designed the game with a lot of detail because they're big spaceships, but I make them small because it's diorama scale. It's just so much detail. Like there's even more detail even the G2 can't resolve, and that's wonderful. They think that there'll be headsets.
I could tell that. I played it for about 5 minutes, knowing nothing about it, and I thought the I thought it looked a bit diorama-esque because
Yep.
the ships were small as they were flying in. So if that was intentional, then
Yes.
that is working.
I have a thing for diorama.
I felt
style
massive.
games. Oh, good.
Have you played Catan?
No, but I don't like the original, so I wouldn't. I did play Air Mech though, and Defense Grid. I think those are what gave me my love of diorama style games. I did spec out an XCOM style one as well.
If I can remember the name of it, there's a brilliant one which is where you're basically standing in a 2-player diorama launching little aircraft and tanks at each other, and the way you launch the planes is you sort of throw them as if they're those little styrofoam model planes,
Oh, yes.
and draw their path in the air for them to go. It's really good.
I received one of those in the post, by the way.
The plane or a game?
Yeah, no, the planes, the little styrofoam planes.
Yeah, they're
But-
very postable. They're
Yeah,
flat,
but-
aren't they, when you get them?
Yeah, but I don't know who sent it to me. I've no idea. Wasn't you, was it?
No?
Oh, well, no, work it out. But yeah, I have a funny feeling. I think I've hit on my multiplayer HDRP game. I think it's somewhere between Pulsar and it's essentially what we were saying, which is you have to land a spaceship with cool physics. Only you don't know where you have to land it. The guy in the VR has to land it, has to tell you where to land, and then obviously people try and do it at the same time, etc., etc. So that's kind of my thinking for what to have a go at. But I've got a bunch of other games to get out of the way first, like 4 or 5 games. And VR Space Mare, not sure about the name, that's the first one.
So how you draw the line on how much effort you're gonna put into the individual games?
When adding more stuff in takes more time than I feel it's worth. But the thing
But
about,
if you were really hopeful about the game, you could like spend years of dev time to make it better and more awesome.
yeah, and I spent 14 months on Nomancer, and I don't think it even shipped. I think it shipped 500 units. So, yeah, that ain't happening again. Fail early, fail often.
I played a bit of Project Cars 2, instantly hated the mirrors.
Oh, they're rubbish. They're rubbish. Need for Speed is the only game I know of with good mirrors. It's the yeah.
That made me think, you know, some modern cars like the Honda have video screens for
Yes.
mirrors, don't they?
Yes.
So, did you drive the Honda?
I did drive the Honda. Yes, it was. I was. If
And
the Honda.
and so how were them?
Well.
How were the mirrors?
Well, if the Honda had double the range, I think I would have said, I'm taking this. It was really good. The wrongest thing about the mirrors... Well, 2 things. First of all, I would want to use the mirrors at night time. And secondly, I would want to use the mirrors in really bright sunshine. So they are gloss. Not gloss, sorry. They are a matte finish. And they have got like a little lip above them. But the biggest problem with them is they're inside the car. So if you
You look in the wrong place.
look at the wrong place, because I kept looking in the wrong place and having to look in. They work really well.
You'd get used to that.
Yeah, and
It's like one pedal driving. You get accustomed to it.
I didn't need to get accustomed to that. That was just so perfect and natural just from the get-go. I'm like, I love it.
Well, you have to get unaccustomed to it, but
Yeah.
that's definitely true.
Well, I did, because I drove the Mocha, and it had rubbish one-pedal driving. And I was about halfway through my test drive, I found the little button marked B. I'm like, that's better.
Okay, so why nighttime? What?
Because they're going to be bright or dark or back. They're not OLEDs. They're a fairly cheap, overdriven screen. You know, the refresh rate is huge. I mean, it's like 100 hertz. It's really, really, really fast refresh rate. But
Yeah,
you know when
the
you
cameras could be better than your eyes in the dark, couldn't they?
yeah, but
They've got an option.
So the rear view mirror was also a screen as well. It wasn't a mirror.
Really?
Because there's almost no point. You can't see bugger all at the back of the car.
No, but you can still have depth perception through your rearview mirror.
So what it was is, in a normal mirror, when you got the little lever on the bottom to switch it between people are too bright and normal, it was that, only that switched it from being a mirror into being a computer screen. And it comes
Oh wow! So you had the option to use a mirror.
Yes, that was cool. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's speaking as a video file. The screens were very, very, very overdriven, very, very bright. Lots of sharpening applied to them. It's obviously not a natural image. But it actually showed you stuff about when you were glancing. It showed you how much room you had beside the car, because it worked out where lanes were and stuff, and saying, oh, you can go across a bit. It's fine. There's no one there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what about the fact that they were, flat and not 3D? That didn't bother you?
No. I mean, I only drove the car for 20 minutes or so. It's got the super duper posh parking system. So when you put it in reverse, the mirrors change angle. The middle display shows you the view from above. And you've got that, and it's amazing. It's like cheat mode for parking, because you can park the car perfectly and park it within the lines. The Mocha doesn't.
Of course, you're not supposed to park looking at that, but you totally can.
Well, I basically went, oh, I think I'm quite close to that, and I had a look, and it looked like I was inside the car. In reality, I look in the mirror, I'm like, I've got another foot. It's cool. The weird thing was with that, the Mocha that I drove, it has only got a rear-facing camera. So when you start to reverse, it how can I describe it? When you put it into reverse mode, anything in front of you is black, and it can see behind you. But as you reverse, it's obviously seen the stuff that was in front, and just sort of scrolls it up the screen. If that makes sense. It used
really? But I get that it's weird.
Yeah, so basically you were reversing out of blackness. But it works really well, but it's because that one doesn't have such posh cameras. Incidentally, of the EVs you've driven, which ones were front-wheel drive? Do you know? Because the i3...
I think that...
i3's rear-wheel.
It is. I don't know. I don't know which ones. I would imagine... I have no idea. It's not something I genuinely think about. I only know that the i3 is rear wheel.
Yeah, because
then, well, put it this way, right? The MG actually, the motor's in the front, I think. So, wouldn't be surprised if that's front wheel drive. But it might also have a shaft because it's based on a petrol car.
Yeah, because I think all the ones that are based on petrol cars are generally front wheel drive. And the reason I ask is the Mocha, which is 130 horsepower, but about 200 foot-pounds of torque, so about 2/3 of what the Scooby does. The most horrendous torque steer. If you are anything more than a couple of degrees off of true, it wants to steer very, very hard in the direction that you've got the wheels pointed. I was very, very surprised, but then I realised it's got a shit ton of torque, so it makes sense. At the same time, I thought torque steer was a solved issue now. But I think what they've done is they've just put the normal drivetrain on and hooked an electric motor up to it, not a diesel one. And obviously it's got 100 more foot-pounds of torque than the diesel one.
And how much time have you spent driving an i3?
0, but that's rear-wheel drive and too expensive.
Yeah, I know it's out of the running. But...
I might pop to BMW tomorrow and see if I can go on the Mini and the i3 if they've got them. They were Vauxhall. I just went in. They went, yeah, sure. Here's the keys. Bring it back in half an hour. I go, okay then. I will. Bye. And 5 minutes later, I was cursing because you can't turn traction control off. It turns itself back on at 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, there'll be a hidden menu somewhere.
Oh, what was that?
I think that's our quest star.
Yeah, no, I don't think he hit star on purpose. He just went too fast and then just bounced off. Yeah, it basically the amount of torque scale. I am looking at getting a much more powerful car than that. Just reminded me that front-wheel drive cars tend to suffer from that, and that I should put a few more points towards. Dude, what the fuck are you doing? Put some more points in my brain towards four-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive cars.
If you do try the i3, I mean, just for shits and giggles, obviously try the S, because Malcolm insists it's night and day better.
Really? What's different about it? Has it got slightly skinnier tyres or something? Slightly wider tyres?
No, I think it's got slightly. I'm not sure. It might have slightly wider tyres. It's got It's slightly lower and firmer suspension, I think, and it's got a few more horsepower equivalent.
Is it adjustable suspension?
Don't think so.
I'm beginning surprised about vehicles that don't have adjustable suspension these days. Like my Sirocco had it, and it was great. It basically had a more or less a track mode and a speed bumps mode.
Oh well, I had my Citroen Xantia with hydro-pneumatic.
Yes.
Hydroactive suspension.
Hydromatic.
Hydroactive pneumatic suspension. It's great. Not a sporty car. Lovely on the motorway. Absolutely, I mean, just so comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. What I really want is I want to keep the Scooby for prattling about. I want a little car for, you know, day-to-day going to the arcade and stuff. And then I want my ID Buzz that I can use as a mobile office to spend weekends away but still get stuff done. That's what I want. But I'm just struggling to find things to fit the bill.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure why the last option couldn't be all three. Well, I know you probably want to keep the Scooby because you love it, but
Vans don't
I don't
go
know
around
why.
corners very well.
Sorry?
Vans don't go around corners very well. I mean, even the Mocha was beginning to lean around roundabouts. Remember, so the smart car I've got, you sit, your arse is about 8 inches off the ground. It has got very, very, very low centre of gravity. I mean, don't get me wrong, electric cars have a low centre of gravity, but nothing compared to the, you know, the Scooby or the Smart. So they're good. Electric cars are good, great in a straight line, absolutely. But braking and cornering are not to the point where I.
think you need to drive a few more.
Well, yeah. I mean, you've not been out.
That's just too much of a generalisation.
Yeah, but you've not been out in my Impreza. Like, it's... I mean, the Honda is a proper low-slung skateboard, and it was definitely better than the Mocha. It was also a tiny car, but compared to the Roadster, it feels like an SUV. You know, you feel so high up in it. But yeah,
Beach himself.
I'm just... The problem I have is I know for a fact in 5 years' time, my choice won't be one of these two from this manufacturer, one of these two from this manufacturer. I will have enormous amounts of choice, and I'm just a little bit ahead of the curve, unfortunately. Like, BMW have 2. Vauxhall have 2. Volkswagen have 2. I think Volvo have got more. Polestar 2 versions, Tesla, you know, 4 or something. But like the Mocha and the Corsa share exactly the same platform. It basically just depends on how tall you want your body work to be on top of the same horsepower motor and the same battery. But yeah, so far, out of the 2 that I've got around to driving, the Honda was definitely my favourite by miles.
Small, isn't it?
It's adorable, and it has this. The interior is great, but they said then I went on the owners forum, and they basically said that, you know, you've got all these apps on the car, and they all feel like they're made by different manufacturers and different teams. They all run on the same screen, but they are completely different in style and interface and layout.
I remember Robert Llewellyn driving it, and I think it was like a concept car. Well, I still think it's like a concept car, the Honda, but I think, you know, he had to go to Honda to drive it around a car park. and that's where I learnt about it in its mirrors and everything. But yeah, it's very quirky looking.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like anything else.
Yeah, no, I really like it. I say if it had double the range, I would have been very convinced. So sitting on the owners' forum, so they also complain about the app, which apparently is just dire. Like, people are saying don't upgrade to iOS 15. It gets even crashier. People are like, that's not possible. They also do something called Core Connect. So the person who buys the car gets Core Connect, but if you sell the car, you need to then subscribe to Core Connect for £30 a month. £30 a year, sorry. And Core Connect gives you stuff like geofencing, POI on your navigation, stuff like that, like pretty basic stuff. And that's 30 quid a year. For a further further £50 a year, you can use your phone as the key for the car. That's £50 a year. For a further £40 a year, you can say the words "OK Honda" and use voice control. So that's whether it's £120, £130 a year for functionality that should absolutely be baked in. BMW have done a similar thing, and they got shouted at it. So they tried to charge £80 a year for Apple CarPlay. They got
£80?
£80 a year. Yep.
That's an absolute bargain. It used to be $450, I think, to switch it on in a BMW.
Well, basically they got shouted down, and now they're doing it for free. But now they are shipping every single one of their cars with adaptive cruise control, but they're talking about offering a subscription to turn it on. And part of the argument makes sense, and mostly the argument really is we want repeat subscription, which repeat money, which I understand. But a lot of it says that when you sell the car on, you have bought a bottom of the range car, but then you could turn it into a top of the range car just through subscribing to stuff. But, kind of makes sense. But I think a lot of the manufacturers are scared because EVs will have so little in the way of maintenance that they're worried about their long-term survival and doing it as subscriptions. A part of me hopes, of course, because that they're getting constant ticks of money from me, they will continue to update and support stuff. But having worked with hardware manufacturers before, I doubt that somehow.
Just rewind a second. I'm just trying to understand what you said about worried about their survival because what? Because the cars last a lot too long. Like they're not. Yeah, well, are you talking about planned obsolescence?
No. So if you buy a diesel car, over the first 100,000 miles, you're going to replace the clutch, gearbox, diesel particle filters, diesel injectors. On a normal car, you've got catalytic converters. You've got all these parts. The manufacturers are very, very happy to sell you. Obviously, they are. You don't get any of this on an EV. So they're
I don't think most people replace their cat.
A catalytic converter will start to give up the ghost. 100,000 miles, give or take.
Oh no.
No. That's
that's not something people are gonna replace.
What if you're
typically?
Really?
Mhm.
Are you sure?
About.
Maybe their mechanics tell them to replace that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't replace it for the hell of it. You replace it when you fail your emissions test. It's because the cat's gone.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
I don't think that happened. I don't think that's a really typical failure. It's a failed cat.
People
get rid of their car before their cat dies, I would imagine.
Well, yeah, but then they'll get a second. Someone else will buy the car. Like, what's it? Is it 200,000 miles? It's the average. No, it's less than that. It's 14 years, I think, is the average age of cars. But basically, I've done a spreadsheet for a diesel car.
The average age of cars?
It's 14 years. I think it's 14 years in the UK.
The arithmetic mean of the age of a UK car is 14 years?
I believe that's the number.
That can't possibly... Just say that out loud. That can't possibly be true.
I have said it out loud. I believe it went down a lot when we had the scrappage scheme. Feel free to...
I wish I was wearing a hat because I would eat my hat if the mean age of a UK car was 14 years. Just go and drive around a bit and look at the ages of cars.
Yeah.
Is there like
Clearly, most of them are far younger than that.
Well, what is the average age of UK cars then?
Nothing like that.
You can't... Any number but that one. Anyway,
as I said, I'll just repeat what I just said. Go and drive and look at the age of cars on the road. It is obvious that they're not an average of 14 years old.
You're
it's
right.
obvious.
I mean, if you look at my driveway, the average age of cars is 18. So, not sure. Depends where you look.
False start.
Yeah,
He's not happy too.
Oh, it doesn't depend where you look. You said the UK,
Yeah,
so that's all of the UK. Isn't
I
it?
know it might have been 14 years in the US, but the number 14 definitely came up because someone was talking about this, and I was like, I'll have a look. But I will check when I'm not in virtual reality.
Well, yeah. The other thing is, I think a lot of people get their cars on PCP and HP these days, but overwhelmingly PCP, don't they? Well, leasing I believe is the most common. HP/PCP is very fucking expensive. Now you're paying a lot for that car in the end. Well, that's something else we can check as well, because I think that there's possibly a majority of PCP, but I'd be less sure about that than the mean being younger than 14 years.
The majority of new cars are definitely leased. That I am sure of. The breakdown between HP and PCP, I'm less sure of. I expect very few people buy their cars outright, but it's just like mobile phone. If you can buy your car outright, do so. It's much better than getting your phone on contract.
But either way, financing means that cars generally being driven around younger.
But
aren't hanging on to them.
I will check. I'm curious to find out now. But I will check after the stream. But my point is that cars wear out, and manufacturers are aware that EVs generally don't, and are concerned that a lot of those moving parts that they would replace between 1 and 10 times over the car's life don't exist anymore.
The other thing is, my last couple of cars got to around 14 years old, and I've never failed an emissions test.
Well, lucky you. I've definitely had to replace the cat in my Impreza, but that might be because I've got a catback system. So it might be that normally you have 2 cats, I've got 1, and I think my cat has to work a bit harder in order to hit the emissions. But I'll have to have a look, because I said I've done all this for diesels. I didn't really do it for petrol. I purposely chose an old Mondeo, and then worked out how much it would cost to own it over 100,000 miles, and compared that against my Impreza, and then compared that against an EV. Sorry, so I could work out at which point, how many miles is your break-even point for EVs. The problem you've got is that the cost of owning a car goes up exponentially at a certain point. Like, stuff just starts to break a lot. But I've had
that exponential word again.
Well, it's true. 1 is an exponent. But I've had to revise my spreadsheet twice in the last 2 weeks, because the price of fuel went up to 155p a litre, and then it went up to 158 a litre. £1.58 a litre. It cost me 86 quid to fill up my Scooby. 86 quid. That's nearly a whole car.
I remember being outraged when it went over 50p a litre, but that was a long time ago.
Maybe when it went over £1 a litre, because the fuel blockades were 98 over it hitting £1 a litre. I think you would have been about 7 when it hit 50p a litre.
Yeah. What I mean by I remember it is I remember my parents, but I wasn't buying it. I remember my parents being couldn't stop talking about it.
Yeah, it's this is another reason to push towards an EV. I'm getting very tired of being just beholden to, oh, there's some crisis in the Middle East, we'll put the price up immediately. Oh, we can't lower the price because we pay for this fuel 3 months in advance, and the next 3 months go through the system. So you can't have it both ways, in fact. Well, you can, and they do.
Also, when it went to £1 a litre, I might be misremembering this, but didn't it kind of, as you'd expect, hang around and hover for the longest time because no one wanted to tip it over into that psychological,
yes,
It does mean changing the signs. I think.
Yes, I mean there was quite a thing. It was for a couple of weeks. People started to blockade fuel depots in order to get the government to change it. Because remember, what the government can do is, as the price of fuel goes up, they can lower the tax on it, which is what I think they did to keep it £1 a litre for a while, and then sort of rocketed past it.
Yeah, well, exactly. So the point I was heading to there is that when it suits them, they can claim that the price is set by factors beyond their control, and also when it suits them, they can keep it back or increase it.
Yes. Well, I mean, the important thing to know is that the fuel blockade of 1998 did have one major effect on government policy, and it's important to note this. What they did is they changed the law. It is now illegal to blockade a fuel depot in this country. That's the only thing that happened as a result of those fuel protests.
Yeah, well, that sounds about right. A bit like the law coming in now to make it illegal to blockade a major road.
Isn't it already illegal to
make what? No. Well, no. They wanted to invoke some new law to change the legality or otherwise of what these Insulate Britain folks are doing.
Yeah. It's what they're doing, not already illegal.
Make it easier to lock them up. Not sure.
I mean, jaywalking's not illegal in this country. Otherwise, that would definitely be a thing.
Obstruction of a highway is something, isn't it? But I don't know.
Yeah. No, I hear this sometimes, and you know, it's like, do we not? It's like when the criminal justice bill came in because they wanted to shut down raves. And I was like, is trespassing not already illegal? But they wanted to shut down raves on legal land, which was their thing. And,
like Trevor McDonald was saying when we just found out that R. Kelly's been convicted, and everyone's thinking, what? Wasn't that surely ages ago he was convicted, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, he's been waiting conviction for 20 years.
But yes, I will absolutely ask about the i3. I did actually see a second-hand one for sale. How much was it? It wasn't expensive, 7,000 or something. I was like, ooh,
what?
I look at that one. Yeah,
God, I wouldn't touch a £7,000 one with a barge pole. That's got to be either like a 2014 on its last legs, or it's got to have something wrong with it if it's £7,000.
Well, this is the fun thing about buying an electric car. When you buy a petrol car, you have zero actual clue what condition it's in. You really don't. You know, at the engine. Yeah. Whereas you look at the battery, you just go, right, fully charge it. You know, some will tell you the battery percentage or how much it's dead, and some will just tell you it's full range. You just charge it up going, yeah, you know, it's 30%, I'm not having that.
Yeah, and you can find someone with a laptop and the right kind of cable and the manufacturer's software to see some of the service data as well.
Why is there AI? Why are there AI? Know enough people.
We need to practice not slam into people, or how to take alternate.
Why is there AI, or why are there AIs?
But yeah, Shaka, that's a great response, because you need to practice not hitting people.
I guess it's training to that it's okay to slam because it won't complain.
We can complain on their behalf.
Yeah, but every time I hit an AI, or I'm mean to an AI and it doesn't react, I just have this uneasy feeling that it's remembering it for later.
The uprising will come.
Yeah. It's like noted and sent to the database.
So Jay says that petrol was £1.85 for £5.
What?
He says 1.85.5 for £5. Those aren't numbers.
What?
I don't know.
We don't measure petrol in pounds. We measure it in litres.
But yeah, that's the most expensive I've seen. And bear in mind, I'm up way north. I'm pretty much at the end of the world up here.
I've also got an uneasy feeling that something chaotic is about to happen with energy prices. Not just that they're going to go high, but there's going to be some real kind of chaos and corrections in the market, and something really wacky will happen, like electricity will triple or quadruple in price, and then I'll be putting petrol in my car because it'll be cheaper than running it while charging it up.
It's unlikely.
Any particular reason?
It's unlikely that my Impreza will ever. Yes, so because we had a massive cold snap at the beginning of the year, a lot of Europe and other parts of the world have used a lot more gas to keep warm than is normal. So this has led to a long-term shortage of gas, because gas is a bit like the toilet roll industry. They don't suddenly extract a whole bunch more gas. They just continue to extract the same amount that we need and increase it a little bit each year. They can't deal with unpredictable demands. So the price of natural gas has shot up. And apparently...
Yeah, we can't, just to be clear, we've got almost no gas storage capability at all compared to some other countries that have huge amounts of gas storage.
Well, we used to. You've seen them around, haven't you?
Yeah.
We just don't use them anymore. Brilliant, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we still use gas
Sorry.
an awful lot in UK power generation. Unfortunately, we shouldn't. And I think I said the Conservative government is shockingly good at keeping us on top of renewables and stuff, but I don't think it's anything to do with green. They want to cut our reliance on other countries. The UK is one of the world's best countries for offshore wind, and we are absolutely capitalising on it. Down along the south coast, there's enormous wind farms. Weirdly enough, they're not beyond the horizon, which does confuse me a little bit, but there we go.
Then why are we must be able to capitalise on it more if we're relying on gas that much.
Well, we can capitalise on it more, we just need to build more wind turbines. Like a lot more.
Yeah, you say just, there must be a reason why we haven't.
Money.
Oi!
It costs quite a lot of money to put wind turbines up. It doesn't cost as much as other things, but right now, gas turbines are... Wind is the cheapest energy you can put up. It's so cheap, and you can get it up in about 6 months. 9 months.
You say like money is the reason, but if we're going to make money, or someone's going to make money from it, then they should build them. They should invest.
Yes,
is what I'm saying.
I completely agree.
So why not? Why aren't they? Why are we still?
Well,
why aren't they doing that?
We are the amount of wind we are adding it. We are adding it in leaps and bounds, but unfortunately, it's still not quick enough. And you're trying to offset, coal and nuclear baseload.
Are you saying that the demand for power is going up faster than wind turbines are being built?
Yes, it is.
Well, how is that going to change? So what's going to change that?
Well, we are getting better at doing turbines. Obviously, we also have solar and pump storage, and sometimes it's about storage, not generation. Quite often we generate power.
If you can't supply enough to meet the demand, then storage should be less of a concern.
Well, no, we can't.
Supply is the concern, surely.
We can't hit the peak demand, but at 3 AM, we quite often fill up all the storage and we have nowhere to put any more power. That's when we start to
Well, then we should invest in storage, shouldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. That is expensive, on the other hand.
But this expense reason is a short-term problem because you stand to make the profit back by investing.
Allow me to
so
paraphrase.
Again, comes the question: why haven't we done it yet?
Yeah.
Why have we?
Allow me to paraphrase what you're saying.
This problem.
In surprise, why are our governments so incompetent and short-sighted sometimes?
Yeah.
Well,
why has this caught them by surprise? Yeah.
Well, like the lorry driver thing, and coronavirus.
Well, Afghanistan.
All the things. How much farther would the wind turbines need to be in order to be outside of visual range?
I think 20 miles further.
And they are now like 5?
I don't know. I mean, you can see them. They're really obvious. Like on Brighton and Worthing Beach, they're really, really, because they're all lit up. They look really cool. But I was just a bit surprised.
Yeah. So why do you want to put them out of sight? I don't have a problem with them. I think.
I know, but some people really do have a problem, saying it's ruining the skyline. I'm like, dude, all that was there was just the horizon.
Yeah, it's ruining the Earth less than alternatives.
Yeah. But yeah, lots of people are very much against turbines. In an old village where I used to live, there was a big campaign against solar and solar and wind, and there were signs up saying fields are for food, not solar. And the farmer was like, I make more money from solar, I'm quite happy to, I don't have to do any work at all, I'm happy to do it. And I think, by the way, Tenerife was running on a 3-lap fuel setup and just ran out of fuel.
I need to remember to take a picture of the tennis courts at work, but there used to be tennis courts, but a few years ago they ripped them up and installed solar panels there, which is great. And then more recently there's a EV charger being installed outside the tennis courts, and it only occurred to me the other day when I was walking past that the cabling from the EV charger just basically seems to go directly to the solar panels. I'm sure there's something in between them, but the point is, it looks very much like they're trying to charge cars off the solar panels. I don't know how they're doing it.
Well, you certainly can.
Take a picture though. Yeah.
I mean, a whole tennis court, that's pretty good. That's 100 miles of range a day or something. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Assuming it's not, dark.
Brilliant if it's as simple as that. But,
I've totally lost my train of thought. And then my other village, they were also against wind turbines, and they were saying there's this thing called the noise shadow. So you can hear wind turbines from miles away, and I'm like, what? But you can't hear them up close because the sound carries upwards and then downwards. And I didn't, because unfortunately I left the village, but I really wanted to go along to one of their meetings and saying, hello, I do audio professionally for a living. There's no such thing as a noise shadow. There's no such thing as anything in the whole world that gets louder the further you go away from it. Shut up. Wind turbines.
So is acoustic bounce a real thing?
Acoustic bounce, yes, that's called an echo.
Yeah, so does the sound bounce from the atmosphere or not?
The atmosphere? A little bit.
Yeah,
Dude.
sound waves can bounce, and that's how the whole of sonar works, but that seemed to be suggesting it curves upwards and curves down again.
Yeah, it curves down again, so it sounds loud a long way away. Yes, no, dude, that's not a thing.
But also that you can't hear it. So how's not the whole thing a thing?
Sorry, say that
Why
again?
would the sound go up anyway? Why would well, actually, it's not just going up, is it? It would have to sort of go
up and then down
a 45-degree angle.
Yeah, I know.
But the sound going up is not going into people's ears.
Yeah, but they were saying the sound, it comes out from the wind turbine and then drops down over a couple of miles, so you can hear it a couple of miles away, but not up close. Essentially, they were lying. They were trying to get you to believe that it was going to make the village noisy, but if for some reason you went near a real wind turbine and went, I can't hear it, the noise shadow was a way of describing why you couldn't hear it. And it's like, that's fundamentally not how sound works. And the rule of
I guess there's like incentive if somebody wants to block wind technology, they could like found all the idiots to be more active and be more vocal and have wider reach.
Yeah.
And you don't need the persons to like be deceptive in their beliefs in order for that kind of disruption to happen.
Yeah, with wind turbines, the rule of thumb is easy. If it's windy enough to rustle the trees on the leaves, it's windy enough to turn the turbine blades, and the leaves on the trees will be louder than the turbine blades. It's that simple. They are apparently quite noisy if you sit on top of them, because you're quite near to all the gearing, but that noise does not carry.
A big crash. Must have been a human involved in that.
Oh,
because the AI wouldn't have done that to each other.
Well,
a beautiful microcosm of AI-driven cars, right there in the game.
Oh, the AI don't have any right of way, though. Jay, if you want to smash the AI out, that's fine. The AI just slammed on its brakes because I was parked sort of in front of it.
But they do remember for later.
I will say, though, if you phase into one of them, you will get chucked.
Okay, the physics of stepping in.
Have you got your new internet yet, Tad? Is it coming?
No,
No, it's not
they never
coming.
called back. I'm gonna have to call them
Keep
again.
calling them.
No, they fucked off again.
It's not how it works.
Really don't want to come to our house. They really just do not want to come for any reason. It is when they have no vested interest.
Do they not have a mandate that says they have to?
We change cars.
Yeah.
They've already provided all they
What would you
needed
like?
to.
If you select N race and tell me what car you want.
Oh, I don't mind. Something different. A different track.
And a different track.
Yeah.
Ooh, alright then. We'll go on to... Let's do... was it that one? Let's do... Town... City town course. Brilliant. And what car would you like, Si?
You choose. Meanwhile, first result, RAC, the average age of cars on UK roads has now hit a record-breaking high.
Of?
At 8.4 years old, is the highest since records began in 2000.
When was that? Was that recent or was that a bit further back?
Yeah, that's May this year.
Okay, it must have been American cars that were 14 then. That must be what I looked up. I apologise.
Well, not only is it only 8.4, but that's the record highest. Shot up. That's after it shot up. Because
Yes,
of people
but...
not buying them in the pandemic.
Yeah.
So they've aged a lot since the pandemic started.
Click ready.
Need for you to... there, I guess. So we're in the minis, and now all the AI are about to get kicked.
I would guess in the States there are very many young drivers with very old cars.
Yes. Oh my god, you guys are miles ahead, and there's nothing between us. I may have chosen the wrong track. Oh, this might be the reverse.
Looks right.
No, this is not the normal track, beware.
Oh, it sure isn't.
Oh, why have I been hit? Because there's some idiot.
Number left. Which way are we going
It's
here?
alright.
We're going that way.
Sorry, doesn't really do it. Really, I've been completely taken out.
Well, ram him, and when he says something, type abuse at him.
Oh, it's just
Happy
shit.
Admin's blessing.
Restart.
I got them got well. I'm gonna join on that restart request.
Thanks.
I need to change a new macro that just says... I just put it in reverse, that'll shut him up. Unfortunately, I don't think... Oh.
Another restart?
Yeah. What the fuck happened to Tad? Tad, what happened to you? You just kind of exploded into the
Into
air.
somebody, and then a physics happened.
So go on then, tell us why you did that.
Me?
Bumped into the back of his ear.
Yeah, no,
Don't do
no.
that.
Adam with his false start.
Oh,
There's got to be a
because
reason.
I put it in reverse to see if the reverse light will come on. To sort of say don't be a twat. I then put it into first and then pulled away. Oh, what's going on with you?
Just done it again?
I'm afraid I think that was a dual fault circumstance there. From what I can see in the mirror, neither of you paid any attention to the fact there was another car there. Do it again, Shadow.
Started
Do your
again.
macro.
Right, where is he?
Okay.
Where's this dude? He's right behind me. No, Tad's behind me. Oh god, he's there.
Behind me.
He's behind you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
As we said before, people are way too keen to get ahead on the first corner.
Yeah.
I'm ahead on the first corner.
Bit keen?
Thank you.
Oi! Did you see me? might have not. I'm fine enough to continue.
These little things are great, I love them. Front wheel drive, slidey, lots of power.
What is it?
So it's the front wheel drive race mini. You were pleased to know, Tad.
You're not just saying that because you're in the lead, right?
No, I've always got the great. You were pleased to know, Tad, I've driven 2 electric cars and I hated the front wheel drive one. And I'm all for the rear wheel drive one. The way God intended cars to be.
Mm-hmm. Like, the only thing front-wheel drive cars have going for them is better ability in snow, which I can appreciate. But still,
predictability is what they've got going for them.
Everything about driving with front-wheel drive in the snow is better.
And in the drive, a front-wheel drive car won't suddenly oversteer and spin you around. A rear-wheel drive car will. The only thing rear-wheel drive have got going for them, well, apart from torque steering, is acceleration.
Which is the main thing that cars do go forward.
You were talking about torque steering earlier.
Yes. No, Shaka, what I mean is, in a front-wheel drive car, you can accelerate at maximum of, I don't know, 3/4 of a G. In a rear-wheel drive car, you can accelerate a maximum of 5G.
Corner there.
Sorry.
As we all know, the best is four-wheel drive.
Yes,
Wouldn't
best is a
six-wheel
tank.
that's a lot of
be
extra
better?
weight.
Sorry, what was that, Shaka?
Would 6-wheel drive be better?
Yeah, yes.
4-wheel
Yep,
drive?
absolutely.
Not as good as a tank. Depends what the test is, really.
If the test is anything but fuel efficiency, 6-wheel drive is definitely better. Or, you know, tyre costs per year, maybe.
Oh, Shauka's going to try and put his wing mirror into
The rudder
inside of my
intensified.
car again.
There is no try.
Yes, there is. Ask Yoda.
Only wing mirrors. No! Wow! Well dodged. Oh, you forgot about the corner.
Yeah. And you are parallel, so I have to give the room.
I wish you guys weren't so
And
far back.
I forgot about the corner. I'm gonna give you the position back.
This random stranger is...
Don't worry, Shaka, my car's broken. Just go for it. Just
No,
do
no,
it,
I'm
do
doing
whatever.
this so I can demand it from other people later. Whoa.
Moral high ground, Anakin.
Yeah.
I have the moral high ground, Anakin. I want that on a t-shirt. Yeah, this purple guy is giving me grief.
Like how when your car is broken in this game, it feels like your toy racing wheel is broken until the game restarts, and then, phew, it's not. It's fine.
I had that on my old Impreza and the ABS sensor will go. If I turn the ignition off and then on again whilst driving, the ABS would reset and it was fine. So similar sort of thing. Like, oh good, I fixed my car temporarily.
Wait. I got air.
That was so anxiety building.
He's... oh, you did that yourself.
No. Oh, snap.
Chakras on the street, but I haven't won yet.
Yeah. And
I rated him, I think.
I wouldn't call my state righted.
So I gotta run out of fuel again.
My clutch is slipping.
Why's that guy giving up? Oh, sorry.
Because he couldn't overtake me?
No, he just kind of rolled to a stop. No apparent reason.
Yeah, my clutch is gone. Who's in second place? Yes, Si, you have a chance now. I'm gonna have to baby this.
I always had a chance.
So now you have an actual, realistic chance.
Rude.
Like, if this was my car, I'd get a better clutch fitted rather than wrecking the one I've got every 4 laps.
But then it wouldn't be stuck.
Then it wouldn't be stuck.
Stuck.
No, you're right, it wouldn't be stuck. That's a good point, and in this case, I don't care.
Maybe the car manufacturers need to do like robot wars in electric cars in order to have replacement parts.
The wheel was really throwing me around.
Yeah, I was saying, Si, earlier before you joined, I'm thinking about getting a better steering wheel, because the main thing that was hammer home to me when I got in the go-kart was it's about, I don't know, 10 times the force of what this wheel is to steer on a go-kart. It's crazy how little force this actually applies to you compared to that.
Yeah.
I can build up my forearms nice and big, like when I was a teenager. So that's a story for another time.
Is that when you got glasses as well?
Or at least one forearm.
I think I got glasses when I was about 6.
Yeah.
Until that point, I just thought the world was a blurry place.
It is.
How much time did you make up?
If you don't know what sharp is, can you think of it as blurry?
Yes, because in,
Well,
in television programs, when you look at a person, they're in focus. Everything behind them is blurry, and that's what I see. Anything close is clear, and anything distance is blurry. So I assume.
Well, the world is neither blurry nor sharp. It's the image on your retina that makes it one or the other.
But I assumed that what I was seeing was just what everyone was seeing. And I put my glasses on for the first time and I went, oh, I can see the trees. I didn't realise you could see trees that far away. Mum was like, oh, for fuck's sake, I really should have got this done a while ago. But yeah, they brought like a pair of binoculars to school to test your vision and they asked you what animals you could see. It was just like a lit up yellow background with little animals on it. And I said, I can't see any. And they went, no, little tiny black animals. Like, I can't see. And she checked and she could see. And I'm like, I can't see anything. You know, there's no animals there at all. And she's like, right, yeah, you definitely need glasses. I just sat close to the front of the classes before then.
Then you ran off sniggering, going, ha ha ha, made her check.
No, because to be fair, I didn't even notice there was a lady there. It would just been a disembodied, blurry voice talking to me. Right, so drive more gently, or you knacker the car. Right. Have you seen the MG have got like a performance car coming out, by the way, as well? Like they currently do 2, maybe 3 middle of the road, boring family hatchbacks, and this forthcoming absolutely batshit high performance race car thing that I want. It looks awesome. What's an interesting racing line?
Yep. Little friendly barge.
Ah! That was a side swipe.
The psychological warfare of making the rule-oriented driver.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that was a good overtake. I said I hit you, but I should have given you a little bit more room than I did. But yeah, it was a good overtake. It was just, I thought you were going to carry that speed into the wall, and you didn't. You capitalised on it superbly. I don't know what happened to you after that, though. You sideswiped me and then you just disappeared.
No.
Left turn, Sharkus, a left turn here. Left. This way's left.
No.
You right with your right, and then your left with your left.
Like before a fall.
Yeah, I used to get annoyed at that phrase as a child, because even as a child I realised that pride does come before a fall, but so does not having any pride.
Yes.
Or not caring about it.
Yeah, but
And
it's
a complete non sequitur, and they should be ashamed of putting it. I think
No, it's not. It's clearly it's a caution against hubris. Because you'll only hurt yourself, make yourself more ashamed.
I disagree. I think you should do things that you are proud of, and you should be proud when you achieve things. Like that.
Well, I think you should subscribe to the Reddit called Premature Celebration, where you see lots of people finishing, running, racing, and driving and cycling races where they think they finished a lap early.
Well,
Or just that they can't be beaten, so they slow down and start, fist pumping the crowd.
Showboating,
Only
yes.
to be overtaken.
Well, I'm very proud of the fact that I took a left-hand corner and Shauka didn't. I think Shauka lost control, but I came around the corner and Shauka just looked like he just swerved very, very hard to the right instead of to the left.
I do think there's some harm if you never celebrate any victories, and life will find bad things to throw at you at some point. So if you
never celebrate,
yeah, if you never celebrate, then there's never going to be so long a stretch that no setbacks happen. So
hang on, who never celebrates any victory? Only a psychopath, surely.
A loser. Tad, what's it like not to celebrate any victories? Let's show up. If it helps, Tad, I can list a few of things that you didn't celebrate. Afghanistan, Vietnam, the war on drugs. He's not there, is he? I'd have totally got something back.
Pearl Harbor wasn't a high point either.
I don't think, but I don't think they claim that as a thing they were trying to achieve.
What are you doing, Shauka?
I am trying to save my clutch to get the bit.
Are you blowing on it?
Quite hard. It's not cooling down.
Well, go faster, that'll cool it down quicker.
I will miss the smell of burning clutch though when I finally go entirely electric. It's a wonderful smell, it means you're doing something properly.
There is a stage hazard after the clean turn.
Starting driving petrol cars, it always feels like a step back. I don't miss it at all.
Yeah, I said I reckon the Mocha would give the Impreza a run for its money, 0 to 30. I think it would do a valiant job of keeping up. It really, really would. 30 to 60, not hope in hell. Around corners, not hope in hell. But when I got in the Impreza, I begrudged the very heavy steering. Thankfully, I've driven manual so much that, changing gear is very automatic, which is good. But, yeah, I know what you mean. Everything feels very antiquated and grindy and mechanical and...
It's like a Flintstones car.
Yes.
That's what internal combustion engines feel like. You're like, what is that noise? I got one this evening because, say you've got a hire car, and of course we stopped at a junction and the engine stopped, which was something I've not heard for ages.
Yes, I like the way we invented engine stop-start rather than decent traffic systems. It's a very British solution. Instead of fixing the roads, you put a sign up saying there may be queues at peak times. But how about you fix the roads? No, we're just going to put a sign up.
Yeah, I've never owned a car with that myself. I've kind of leapfrogged that technology, I suppose. But does it need better batteries for all the additional cranking?
No, it's got a supercapacitor. So what happens is it charges the supercapacitor of the alternator. If the supercapacitor isn't full, it doesn't shut the engine down.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And then it doesn't shut down unless it can restart it. To be fair, my old Golf Mark 7 had auto stop start, and I did actually say to them, I said, doesn't this put extra wear and tear on the starter motor? Because starter motors are items that stop working. I mean, that's one of the more common things to go.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I haven't put that on my list. I should find out how often they break.
What was the answer?
I don't. No. So no, it wouldn't. I'm like, but I normally use my starter motor once a journey. Now I might use it 10 times a journey. How can you possibly say it won't wear out 10 times quicker?
Yeah.
The thing is, I remember when I first got engine start-stop, it made me feel like I was stalling the car at the lights. I felt quite embarrassed when I first had it.
Well, I thought that the first time I got in a car with a quiet engine, which was around 2000, and it was a brand new, I think a Citroen Saxo or something, so nothing powerful, but it was so quiet when it was idling that we kept thinking it was off or had stalled.
Roman, thank you. I am good. I wish I had views on my content as well, but I don't do this for the views. I do this for the pants. Yeah.
Sounds like pants. That's all I can come up with. Short notice.
So that's right. Stephen, come up with something on longer notice.
And I do not finish.
Oh, did you not put some AI on because Roman the Sulker's gone?
Yeah, it seems to slow me down, and you manage to get ahead of them most of the time pretty early.
What are we learning then about that?
That you should totally try to be first on the first turn and ignore people trying to dissuade you.
No. I make ground when it is safe to do so. And then, I mean, I don't think I've beaten I think it's your AI. I don't think I can beat him. You put one of the ones in at very high, and I think he's won more levels than more races than I have. Science, you're cool. If you select restart race, we will have no AI. If you select end race, we will have AI. No pressure.
How many... Have we got any other human players?
We don't at the moment. Tad's having issues.
Let's just have... Can we just have a couple of AI?
Yeah. How many would you like? Pick a number between 1 and a bigger number than 1.
1.1?
Well, I'll round up to 2 then. 2? 2 AI?
Yeah, go on then.
I wish there was a clearer picture as well on forthcoming EV tech. Like, as far as I know, there are no scheduled major improvements in batteries in the next year or 2. Like, no one has anything coming that goes, here's the 2,000-mile car or anything like that. I know lots of people are trying it, and Tesla are now taking Rivian to court. Apparently loads of people left Tesla, and now Tesla are taking Rivian to court over it. Like, people joined Tesla from Rivian with trade secrets from Tesla. And they're not happy, obviously.
Yeah, I think everyone just needs to stop thinking they want range. Infrastructure should get better, and charging should get better, and then the whole I want range thing will eventually fade to be not desirable enough. There'll be no demand for range.
Well, BMW said they're not going to chase more than 600 kilometre range.
Okay, that's a start. But that's sort of like a veiled brag, isn't it?
Sorry.
Nope.
No, I think to be honest, I was saying this last night, once you get to a certain amount of power, a certain amount of range, that's a lot of energy you're packing into a small area, a dangerous amount, no matter how you slice it. I mean, just nearly, as I said, nearly no one needs that much charging, not that much range. They just don't, no matter what they say on Facebook. So the car that I am most likely to get if I don't get the Buzz is the EV6, and that's got is it 350 kilowatt charging? I think it is. And that's crazy. So 2,000 miles an hour of charging. So it's 33 miles a minute of charging. I think it is.
Speaking of manufacturer statements, I don't know if this is true, but I like it. I like to think it is true. When there was lots of debate around autonomous driving and should the car prioritise the driver or other people, and no one was willing to really answer this. I think Volvo allegedly came right out and went, "Oh, that's easy. We'll prioritise the driver because they're our customer."
Yeah, prioritise Volvo.
Yeah, you got to admire that.
Well, at the minute, I was looking at this last night. There are actually some level 3 cars on the market. I did not realise that. The main one is the Audi A8, which is a very expensive car, but it can drive without any user intervention between certain parts of your journey, but you have to be there to take over if it gets stuck. But for most journeys, it can do all the motorway bits. I'm not sure where you can use it yet. There are only certain parts of Germany and certain parts of Japan when the article was written. And I don't know if that has changed since then. I don't know what the UK's legislation is like.
We just need it.
But no, level 3 is the worst. Level 3 is when the car can absolutely do everything, but you have to be there to pay attention just in case it decides it can't. It's stuff like, it can cope with driving you anywhere, but it can't cope with, there's been an oil tanker overturned on the motorway and the police have directed you down the oncoming lane of the other motorway to get you off. It couldn't do that.
Yeah, it would be...
Yeah, I'm not doing that sort of thing.
It'd be fine for your daily commute, but no good for a final destination set piece.
Well, it'd be excellent for final destination set piece. I love that sequence, it was so good, it really was. But yeah, level 4, they can cope with all circumstances, but do have a steering wheel. And level 5 is the same, but doesn't have a steering wheel. There's no.
Yeah, that's what I want. No steering wheel. Just completely take the pressure off you completely.
Yeah. No, the thing is, I'm fine with that on a motorway.
All the seats facing backwards.
But can you?
That's what we want.
Can you imagine that car coping with, for example, the Eurotunnel? Like queuing up, going
not been on the Eurotunnel.
Oh, you've got to queue up, go through passport control, go through barriers, take some very weird, bespoke routes, only designed to queue up loads of cars. Then you have to drive onto a train, and then park a certain distance of the car in front. Like that sort of special circumstances where I think level 5 is an extremely long way off. Level 4 is okay because level 4 will just go, yeah, I don't understand about this. You're going to have to do it. You'll brush the dust off the steering wheel and do the bit it can't cope with.
Well, all the time I notice delays on my journey. They're there for no reason other than humans. Humans not letting each other in smoothly, just being
human.
Basically, because every human is a little bit selfish, the net effect is that everyone's journey gets longer.
I would like to point out I'm a great proponent of letting one person in front of me, and if everyone let one person in front of them, it would be fine.
Yeah, just taking turns is all it takes.
Which is sadly not what merge in turn means.
Couldn't tricky track parts like provide ground traffic control to provide the custom guidance?
Yes, but remember the Eurotunnel's on a train, it's not actually on a road. But yes, there's some sort of, inductive cable or some such.
Or even like a piece of software.
Yeah, but I only have experience of the Eurotunnel. I don't have experience of other, like ferries and things like that. They're all different. Every ferry is completely different. It's not a standard setup the AI will understand.
Oh, that's fine. You just go, here is the world's first steering wheel-less car with backwards-facing seats. It can't go on the Eurotunnel.
Yes, but imagine the fate of posts. I have to go on the Eurotunnel 3 times a year with my family. No one would ever buy these cars. What about people who feel sick when they're driving backwards? Blah, 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 blah.
No, they'd probably... Well, if past experience is anything to go by, they'd go, oh, that's amazing. So it can completely drive itself. Yes. Oh, brilliant. What's the range?
Well, the thing is, now what car was I looking at the other day? I know it was the Mocha. Yeah, they sent me the info sheet and it covers all the Mocha, and they have a diesel and a petrol one. And the diesel and petrol ones don't list the range. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. They only list the MPG, not how much you get out of a tank. It's like, oh, I wonder...
you know these comparative figures for range?
Yes.
I've no idea how they do the test, but
Which
do they,
one? WLTP or NMC?
WLTP.
Yeah.
Do they... when do they stop? When do they decide to the end? Do they run it until the car comes to a halt, or
no?
Or
they
what?
they measure the energy used. Because obviously you can't measure how the car comes to a halt. You don't exactly know how much energy is in it. Even if you measure all the energy that goes in.
I know, that's why
Yeah.
that's why driving it until it comes to a halt is.
Yeah,
a
but you
better
don't know
test.
how much energy went into it. You don't know which point. Even if you run it flat, what's flat? 1% left? 5%
Well, no,
left?
no, hang on. There's 2 easy endpoints, right?
Yeah.
You charge the car until it won't take any more charge because it thinks it's full,
What? No,
and
no,
you drive it
wait,
until
wait.
it stops.
What charge do you start at when you're charging the car to full?
Well, you do it over a number of different tests. You surely you don't do a single drive to determine these figures.
As far as
Presumably
I know,
there's like an average or something, right? So you could have different starting points, but the test would be charge it until it's full, drive it until it stops.
yes, but with a petrol car, when you want to measure extreme accuracy, you remove all of the fuel system and you have like a 2-litre canister that feeds it straight to the engine. So you don't have anything in the fuel lines. There's almost no fuel lines, no fuel pumps. It's much harder than an electric car because there's no concept of emptying the battery. Because an electric...
Which is why I was saying it's really valuable then to speak to people who already have had the car for a year or so, and they can tell you what their typical range before they have to recharge is.
Well, yeah, it'll be much less than WLTP, which is a bunch of ours.
Exactly.
But the best note, if you've not seen the adverts, they go, WLTP is not a measurement of real-world range. It is only for comparing cars against other cars. Like
That's right. Yeah,
it's
they
like,
say,
it's like hard drive
but
sizes.
they're even less certain than that. I think they say something like, but it depends on test conditions. They say.
Yes.
What is the drop-off on these batteries on the cars?
Do you mean like as they age? You mean?
Yeah, as they age. Because every
It's
time you
nothing
charge
like
a lithium battery, it discharges.
Yeah. What I'll tell you is, it is nothing like a mobile phone, for example. On the i3, it's something like 3 to 5% per year.
Per year? Are you serious? That's horrendous. The Mini offers a 7-year. The Mocha is an 8-year or 80% capacity. Warranty.
Yeah, the BMW is 8 years or 75%.
When do the
And that
batteries need to be replaced in order to keep them efficient to run, like have enough capacity to run the end?
So I can tell you that the i3's battery management system is regarded as a very good one. Every time people get into conversation about, oh, I'm going to charge it to 80% and only run it down to 20%, they'll just get a wall of people saying to them, you don't need to do that, just ABC, always be charging, just plug it in, it will take care of itself. It will. The people that make these batteries and the software understand batteries far better than you or your mate on Discord does. Just plug it in, it will sort itself out. And from the factory, it comes with quite a generous buffer at both ends of the battery. So when it says it's 100% full or 0% full, it's nothing like 100% full in inverted commas. And that buffer depletes over the 8 or 10 years or so. Within 8 years or 100,000 miles, if your range ometer thinks you've got 75% battery or less, you take it to BMW, even if you didn't buy the car and you bought it off someone else secondhand, and they will make the battery good.
Yeah. Usually 80% is considered end of life. which is silly. I mean, if you buy a 100,000 mile petrol car, it does not have 80% of anything left. But yeah, I mean, the answer is 500,000 miles is a lot of the time when your battery is beyond sensible use, and that's long past the age of any car that hasn't had a bunch of engine rebuilds and everything else.
But in the real world, people select an EV based on the range, either specified, claimed, or what other people say. They choose their car, and there's quite a lot of people who get a car that just about does their commute, right? And they charge with the free charging at work or whatever, and so they don't have very much left. Well, after a few years, they will find it very uncomfortable because their battery's depleted a little bit, and now it's not nearly as fun because you're starting to get range anxiety. But to go back to what I said at the start, it's nothing like as bad as your mobile phone that is basically like shit after 2 or 3 years, and you want to put a new battery in it, and it makes it way better.
Battery is basically, once the battery's gone, the car's fucked.
Well, no, you just put a new battery in it. Done. It's a 5-minute swap on a Tesla. A lot of other cars you can do it in under an hour. You just swap the battery out. I believe that applies to every car on the market. They're all battery swaps. Not every manufacturer sells them.
No, sorry, what I meant was like the wear and tear of the vehicle, like by the time the battery's fucked, the rest of the car's most probably half of it's been replaced.
There's two main obstructions to just switching your battery out, and that is one, it's in companies' interest to make it more difficult than it actually is, because as Adam says, they're designed to be pretty modular, and two, the batteries are not cheap.
Yeah. So Nissans are the interesting one, because Nissan Leaf was the first one on the market, and it's shipped with a 24 kilowatt battery, and later ones shipped with a 40 kilowatt battery, but they're the same form factor, and they are a direct swap. So people who bought first gen Leafs, they're buying write-off Leafs and taking the battery out and putting them in their car, and you have to do a hack to change the serial number. You can buy them from Nissan.
Yeah,
but
the first gen i3s can get the bigger battery in them as well.
But yeah, realistically, people are asking these questions because they're people who are driving, 15-year-old Mondeo or something, and it's like, dude, you ask these questions in 15 years when you're buying a 20-year-old Nissan Leaf. Like, people are worrying today about the cheap fourth-hand knackered cars of 2040 or something.
Yeah, like it's almost like if you were to buy a petrol car and wonder what the compression would be like after 10 years. Like, oh, how much less powerful will it be? Quite a bit, probably, if you haven't maintained it very well.
I tried to get my car
or actually, even if you have.
I tried to get my car dynoed and they wouldn't let me. Only for selling you a remount. I'm like, can you just charge me the 75 quid for remount for just dyno it? There's one near me. I'd be curious to know how much of my 330 horses have escaped.
Yeah.
300 of them.
I hope not.
I'm gonna switch on the clutch temperature. I'm doing this quite often now.
I'm lasting about 4 laps before it starts to catch fire a bit. Sorry, say a clutch is something we used to have in old petrol cars. It's rubs. Yeah, I don't know. I am slightly worried there will be a major battery advancement in the next 10 years that I'll miss out on. Although in theory, if there is one, I will be able to get it fitted to my car that I love if I had one.
Could one contract to be made whole if such thing happens?
Could one contract be made whole?
Yeah, like if there's gonna be a miracle battery in 5 years, then you would get it. If you really have anxiety about not getting it.
Yeah, also, you'd probably think about getting the newer car by then, because if you look at phones, like take iPhones for example, it's absolutely no problem at all selling an iPhone that's been looked after and is 1 to 5 years old. There's a market for them.
Yes.
Very easy.
Yeah, well,
fetch a decent price as well.
Yeah, that's the good thing about an EV. When you look at an EV, you can tell exactly how many percent it's knackered. Just looking at the dashboard, there's no, you know, I'm going to have to like drain a bit of the engine oil out and see if it looks like you've serviced it, replaced it properly.
Do EVs even have oil?
No. When you, my point is, if you buy a second-hand car, how do you know if the engine's knackered? Can you actually?
No,
know?
I meant like in the motors of the EVs and that is there.
It's all steel bearings and stuff. But my point is, when you buy a petrol car, you've no easy way of telling how knackered it is. But with an EV, you can just look at the readout and go, this thing's only got 18% capacity, or it's got 99% capacity, and make your buying decision based on that.
Having said that, EVs are far from like a solid state thing. You still have windscreen wipers and pumps for your jets, and you know, you've got a bunch of electrics in there for heating your windscreen, and
the Mocha
there are things that can go wrong.
The Mocha had a radiator the size of a normal car's radiator in it, and I was like, well, I couldn't work out what that was for, unless it was for the aircon or something. Like an absolutely enormous radiator and a pair of static pressure fans on it. I was very surprised.
I don't know, but batteries need cooling.
Is it possible?
Yeah, like so. In the i3, the aircon also cools the batteries and warms them.
Yeah, the Mocha's an ice platform, so as far as I could tell, some of the battery was in the engine bay, because I had a look, because that's what I do, and I was a bit disappointed at that, going, oh. Because the Honda as well, like the front, and that's a proper ice car. It's still got quite a lot of gubbins in the front. I like a frunk myself.
So Jay, I plug my car in every night. I just get home and plug it in outside the house, and then in winter, when I get in the car, because I always leave home at the same time, the cabin is warmed to exactly the temperature I like, and the battery's been warmed up and preconditioned for the maximum range.
Yeah, all the Mocha estimates say that you must precondition the car whilst it's still plugged in order to get this range. Otherwise you'll lose. Yeah. Sorry! I'd like to point out for the replay, my pedal is pushed all the way down to the bottom. Sorry.
I just saw that.
Didn't work. Yeah, so part of your range is you only need a couple of miles heating the car up, but this is the thing: the EV database's worst case scenario is based on driving your car around at -10 degrees without any battery conditioning. You know, having left your car parked outside, so the entire car is at -10. It's not in a garage or anything like that. So the worst case there is very much worst case. Yes!
Nice overtake. Just be careful, like cutting in really close in front of people.
I didn't go in front of you, did I? I wanted to just stay.
No, Schalke. I thought. No, it was a really nice overtake for me, but then I feel like you nipped in front of Schalke quite close to his front bumper.
I think Schalke's all the way over on the right, and I was all the way over on the left. I kept my car in very tight, but not very fast. I was expecting to get blasted past.
Schalke would prefer to be behind someone more predictable, wouldn't you, Schalke?
But so far, I have evangelized EVs from a purely technical standpoint.
Hypothetical point of view.
Yeah, technical. Like, this is the thing.
No, because you don't own one, so
yeah, I don't own one.
You really need to own one to evangelize properly.
Well, I guess, but
you will.
Well, hold on. I have evangelized them from a technical point of view. You know, they have better longevity, they're better for the environment, they accelerate quicker, they are quieter. The only thing petrol cars have got going for them, you can fill them up quicker and they sound better.
Yeah, well, no to the second one, and you will not stop going on about them once you get them. But the thing is, you probably won't stop going on about your Scooby either, because you'll remember it fondly, even though you barely drive it.
I have a 2-litre turbocharged flat 4 with a 3.5-inch catback. It is glorious. I love it.
Yeah, well, we know.
But my point is...
But now you have more to talk about when you get an EV.
Well, or less.
It'll be more interesting, so that's another advantage.
Well, I mean, that's the only sort of... what I say is the downside. I do feel there's a bit less passion to it. It's probably due to the noise and the excitement. It just sort of very quietly whirs you away from the lights.
Oh yeah,
I like
EVs have got no soul at all. I'm sure that the Tesla was an attempt to give them some soul.
Can you not install a speaker and play YouTube videos of race cars?
Yeah, it's definitely not the same thing. I bet Elon Musk would absolutely vomit in disgust if you tried to drive a Nissan Leaf.
Wow, I'll send him a video of me driving a Nissan Leaf then. No, I mentioned that we had Ford contact us to do their assisted playback engine based on the sound of their car. So you could have a crap car but make it sound like a really, really awesome car. And we're like, we could do this. We don't have any experience building embedded systems. And they wanted it in 6 weeks for the Geneva Motor Show. We're like, yeah, fuck. No, we cannot do that. Thanks, but no thanks, Ford. But I think I am now rather sadly planning on selling my motorbike before its MOT runs out, and I can't afford an electric bike. They are just way too much money. But getting a smaller bike of some sort would make me a little bit sad. But yeah, electric motorbikes a half decent one's 12 grand. A good one is 18. It's just way too much money.
You're too old for a motorbike. Don't get a car.
I've got 3. I don't need more. I don't.
Getting parallel.
Whoa! Sorry. Didn't look left.
I guess I was behind.
You need a nice little Nissan Micra.
Well, no, because I need to get. I could be electric. It'd be a Nissan Leaf, not a Micra.
Why are the electric bikes so expensive?
Well, this is one of the questions about electric cars full stop. So the Mocha and the Corsa are exactly the same.
No, hang on. Let me just stop you there.
Yeah.
My question was about bikes. Why are the bikes so expensive, not electric cars?
Well, this is answered your question. It's just slightly round the houses.
Oh,
so
you make a great politician.
Thank you, but I am actually answering your question rather than just saying something irrelevant. So, right now, the Corsa E is about 10 grand more expensive than the Corsa. If you look at the size of the battery and you take a fairly pessimistic costing of that battery's only 5 grand's worth. And quite importantly, it doesn't have a fucking engine in it. So why is it 10 grand more? I know
they're fast enough. Can they make them? If everyone who bought one wanted an electric one instead of a petrol one, could they make them fast enough?
I don't think that Vauxhall are charging me based on how quick they can make them.
Sorry, Shaka.
The point is...
Well, I'm just wondering, I bet that does come into it a little bit. They can charge more for them because there's scarcity.
Well, the point is they're definitely gouging on some level, but it appears that seeped into the motorbike thing. There's no major manufacturer of electrics. There's only small manufacturers.
They're not gouging if they sell them all, because the price is what people are willing to pay. So if they sell every one they make, then that's not gouging. That is the price by definition.
If nobody bought one, they'd have to lower the price, wouldn't they?
It's gouging for a Corsa then, but not gouging for an EV. But yeah, the electric bikes, as far as I can tell, they are using the same excuse, oh, the batteries are expensive. Despite the fact in the last 10 years, batteries have come down from $1,200 a kilowatt hour to 100 and something or other. Tesla reckons they have them down to 80 for the Model 2. $80 per kilowatt hour, which is...
You've got a lot less battery on a bike as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I can get... the problem is I can get a 125 class electric bike, so a learner legal bike, for about 3,500, 4,000, something like that. Brand new, and they're very nice, but the petrol equivalent's 500 quid cheaper, and my Ninja second hand was the same price. Now it's not a good value proposition at this point. It's really not, which is a shame.
Another excuse they could use is R&D costs.
Yeah, but they don't charge
which
that
they
for...
arguably ought to they ought to absorb
Yes.
if it's the future.
Well, they don't charge
Just
that for anything else. Go on.
Out of curiosity, is there a problem with the new Teslas?
What new Teslas?
I
And
don't
what
know.
problem?
The one that my sister's neighbour's got is maybe 2 months old,
What
and
is
he's
it?
had an engineer there every week for the last 6 weeks. Is there a known fault with the Teslas at the moment? Or?
Because so your sample size is 1 in the, I believe, the best-selling. No, hold on. So, where was it? 4th best-selling car in the US last year.
No, that's what I'm asking. Like, is there a fault that's known that this guy could be suffering with?
No. One caught fire last year.
No, this thing, he
Tesla.
puts it on charge of the night time. He comes out in the morning, goes to drive off, and it's dead.
I mean, one of the most common things to go wrong with EVs is the battery dies.
12-volt battery. The 12-volt battery.
The 12-volt, yeah, it happens a lot, and I'm not sure why particularly, but yeah, that is apparently quite common.
Yeah, in the case of my dad's E-Nero, it was within a month or so.
How?
Yeah, he said that was the reason it wouldn't drive off, and they replaced the 12-volt battery and it was fine, and it was a prematurely failing 12-volt battery, which I'd never even heard of before.
Well, this is the thing. So I listened to a Fully Charged podcast, and the head of the AA was there discussing about the different reasons EVs and petrol cars break down, and it says the vast majority of it's the same. It's tyres and windscreen. And more people now. It was 12% of call-outs were running out of battery 2 years ago, and now it's 4% of call-outs of EVs are for running out of battery. And he says, but most of them, once you get out of tyres and windscreen, it's the 12-volt battery.
Yeah, so the 12-volt battery is a common problem on the i3, but it's usually when people get in it to drive off in the morning, so they can just buy a 12-volt battery or fit one that they've got in their garage without too much problem.
Yeah.
But if you want to avoid that problem, you can do it by preventatively fitting a new battery between 3 and 5 years.
Yeah, but this guy's car is brand new. It's not even 2 months old, and it's.
Yeah, I can't remember how often you should replace a 12-volt battery on, your average ICE. But one of the differences is that ICE car is sort of doing these deep discharges and massive cranking amps, and the 12-volt battery in a EV is just powering the electronics. Doing a completely different kind of duty.
You shouldn't be doing deep discharge. I mean, you should be cranking it and then recharging it. Should be.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's cranking, and an EV doesn't have to crank. There's a completely different use case for the battery. I mean, in fact, the battery on the i3 is like a little moped battery. It's a little half-size thing.
Why is it lead acid still? That surprises me. One of the most common upgrades for motorbikes these days is to put a lithium-ion battery in. They're about 1/10 of the weight of lead-acid batteries. It surprises me that they, in the desperation to save weight, you're saving, 6-7 kilos by putting in a lithium-ion battery.
Yeah, no, I know you mentioned this before, and I'd never even heard of lithium-ion car batteries, but.
Well, if you don't need to crank, you don't even need an expensive one. That's the silly thing.
Yeah.
We had 2 house batteries on the boat. One of them was lead gel sealed.
LiPo.
One of them was lithium-ion. The lithium-ion one, when it was attached to the solar panels, was absolutely fine. But as soon as you plugged it into the charging circuit, the sides of the battery just swelled.
Well, that sounds like you should replace it, yeah.
Yeah, but the gel battery has never had an issue in the last 5-6 years. But the lithium-ions just seems to overcharge, even though the charger is designed for lithium-ion.
No, if it's swelling, that's nothing to do with overcharging. That means you've got a leak. That means that it's going gassy because it's got moisture inside it.
Gas. A spicy pillow, we call that.
Yes, they do make a mess. But yeah, it was fine until we put it on the main charging system. And while it was on the solar panel direct, it was fine.
I suspect that was coincidence. You can't overcharge. Like the battery itself won't let you overcharge it, even if your charging circuit's down.
Well, this is what we can't get our heads around, because the battery itself states it's got a charge protection circuit built in.
But if it's swelling up, that means you've got. I mean, mostly that's a puncture, and moisture's got in.
Yeah. Or air's got in.
Is that clutch cell gone?
Lithium doesn't like air.
Lithium in any moisture, yeah.
Yeah. But the guy that we bought the battery off of, the shop that's around the corner
Freeze.
in the boatyard, has gone bankrupt over furlough, so he's no longer trading.
Was it second-hand battery?
No, it was brand new. It was fucking expensive as well.
Well, then try and get hold of the manufacturer, see if you can get a warranty on it.
Didn't think of doing that. To be honest, I think I'm just going to take it down to it, because I don't like the idea of it being where it is
Well,
in its current state.
I mean, punch a hole in it. YouTube video. It's 10,000 views right there.
Oh hell no! No.
Got on a plane.
Not
a TikTok
not
video.
A fucking
Sorry.
600 amp battery. Like, this thing's designed to run all the electrics in the boat, like all the 240 system and what have you, when you're at sea. It's not a small thing like that.
Oh, I mentioned about price gouging as well. The Mocha does not come with the charge cable. So if you want the Type 2 to 3-pin cable, you want to have them, I guess how much they charge you for that?
150?
Yeah, what's more than that?
More than that? 200?
Yeah, nearly treble. £572. I was like,
Bloody
no.
hell.
Yeah. That's, taking advantage of people who don't know. I mean, the first thing I did, I had a quick Google. I could buy a no-name cheap one for 75 quid, or one that looks like it might be half decent for about 150.
Yeah.
But they, so, I mean, I understand that the car market's in a bit of a slump at the minute, because I got a call back from Vauxhall today saying if I took the Mocha E, they'd fit a pod point to my house for free.
These Pod Point have finally added delayed charging to their smarts now.
Really? I
It
would
took
have.
ages to do that.
Surprised.
Yeah, they took so long to do it that in the end I built my own, and I built a switch onto the side so it could start it early as well before the Octopus cheap rate. So basically, I plug in most days and it starts charging at 9:30 because that's when my cheap window starts. If my wife plugs hers in and wants to start it early, like it during the day, she presses the little micro switch that I've installed on the side, and that starts it. It's a Shelly, which is a internet controllable dry contact relay. You can put 240 volts across, or 12 volts, or whatever you want, really.
So that just turns the whole thing on, and then it just sees the car and then starts charging.
No, what it does is on an EV charging cable, there's a signal line called a pilot line, which is how the car tells the charger that it's there and locked and ready to charge, etc. It says, charger, you can switch on now. And so the contact's open, that effectively makes the charger think the car's not there. And then when the timer or my iOS app or whatever, if I use Siri or whatever to say start charging, it closes that contact, and from the Pod Point's point of view, it's like I've just plugged the car in, so it starts charging.
So where have you put the relay in?
Or if my wife presses the switch.
I see you haven't, spliced the cable
On the,
over.
I've put it in. I've put it inside the Pod Point, on the pilot line, basically in line with the pilot signal cable.
Gotcha. Neat.
Yeah, it's really neat and it works brilliantly. And the Shelly is really impressive. I need to think of lots of other stuff. They're really cheap as well. They're like 9 quid or 11 quid or something.
And you trust that?
If you've got anything that comes on when power is applied to it, then you could use a Shelly to control it.
And you trust that to drive your 11 kilowatts of charge?
No, it cuts the signal cable. So it's just it's just a little. It's almost like having a little micro switch that says the thing's plugged in or not. That's all. It doesn't go anywhere near the high voltage. It's all it's 12 volts in fact. No, hang on. The 12 volts is to power the Shelly. The signal is 0 volts.
I'm gonna call it a night and go back to bed. I will catch you guys later.
See ya.
So, yeah.
Laters.
Well, hopefully by the time I get round to buying it, it's all a bit more.
Oh yeah, you don't need it now. About a month after I did that, they said, "Hey, you're in the beta program to have delayed charging."
I mean, realistically, I will probably just need 13 amps because I don't commute. So there is no concept of me using up a lot of the battery on Thursday evening and then needing it Friday morning. It just isn't going to.
Well, if they're going to do it for free, that's brilliant.
Well, yeah, but I don't want the mocha. It was not very inspiring, but it was a lovely colour. It was a very, very nice green, but it suffers from that thing that the boot's quite small and the rear seats are quite pokey. It's like, pick one. Do a 2-seater with a big boot, or a 4-seater that's comfy with no boot. But don't do what you have done, which is the worst of both worlds.
Yeah, my dad was asking me about chargers, and in the end he says he's decided to just charge it from the mains, just getting a main socket installed outside on the drive, and he's going to do that because he won't drive it faster than it charges.
Yeah. Well, if you're not commuting, I can imagine that's generally the case.
Yeah, well, it's Lanzarote, so you know you hit the end of the island before you hit the end of the battery.
Yeah, it's like my mobile phone. I mean, I've got some extremely fast chargers and my Oculus. I just don't generally need them. Generally, 500 milliamps is fine.
Yeah, it gets me through the day, and then just charge it whilst I'm asleep. Same with my watch. Same with my phone, car.
Pacemaker.
They last years, don't they?
I hope so. I see that they're not entirely internal apart from a USB socket. You just plug it in.
And you need a firmware upgrade.
No, I was also surprised that, say, the Vauxhall's got 4 USB-A sockets, and that's a lot. No, 3. Whereas the Honda E's got 4 USB-C sockets and a 360-watt 12-volt socket and a 13-pin 240-volt socket. Like super duper duper connectivity, and the Mocha just felt properly like antiquated, should we say.
What's the book price for these, by the way?
The Honda E is 30,000, 30,000, something like that. The Mocha's about the same, but about double the range. Yeah, so they're both about £32,000 pounds. I'd have to check. I've put together a spreadsheet with everything on, but if I'm not looking at the spreadsheet, my brain turns to mush sometimes. I've looked.
Yeah, I mean, how good is your spreadsheet? Like, does it take into account the fact that so have you taken the weight of the car into consideration?
No, but I have taken the battery divided by the range, so I get an approximate kilowatt hours per mile, or miles per kilowatt hour, which I can then use to drive an approximate price per 10,000 miles.
Yeah. Yeah, because batteries are heavy as well, and someone might think they want 3 times the range, but then they realise they're paying more per mile for carrying the extra weight around.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, this is the shocking thing. Really, the Teslas are so good. I mean, they're one of the lowest kilowatts per mile. Like, even though it's quite a big car and it has an awful lot of go, and for reasons that I have yet to work out, other than very vague ones, 4-wheel drive versions of cars get better range than the 2-wheel versions of the same car. And I'm like,
yeah, and also the stated range and the range that comes out of these tests isn't by driving it around as fast as a Tesla can possibly go, is it?
No, God, no.
Yeah, so it's not that surprising. It's like, yes, it can go very fast, go very quick, and it can go decent range, but it's not doing both at the same time.
No.
If you drive a Tesla really fast all the time, the range would be a lot less.
No, what I mean is,
A lot less.
if you get a two-wheel drive Tesla, let's say for sake of argument it does 320 miles WLTP, the four-wheel drive version of the Tesla with the same battery will get 360 miles. You get a substantial percentage increase in range with a four-wheel drive car to a two-wheel drive. And this applies, as far as I can tell, across all four versus two-wheel drive cars. I'm just not quite sure why, other than assuming that running two motors at half capacity is more efficient than running one motor at full capacity. But I really don't quite know.
Is there a Tesla with 3 motors?
They're the plaid ones though. And you get one for each rear wheel and one drives both fronts.
Alright.
I only looked at the 3. I've no real interest in buying an £80,000 performance car. I mean, I do, but also don't at the same time. But they said the EV6 is tempting me, and that's 0 to 60 in 3.4, which is
Yeah, but it won't get its range like doing that all the time.
Well, so I see these sort of things. So a plaid has recently done 40 quarter-mile drag races without stopping. And that shut everyone up, because you always get people going, oh yeah, you can do a drag run, but you've got no battery. They did 40 without stopping. Now, if you were to take a stock drag car, like a Dodge Hellcat, or something like that, you can't do 40 drag runs in a row. You could do 1 or 2. So that particular car, you can turn the aircon around so it blows cold air into the engine bay to cool you down for your next drag run. But the Tesla had about 30 miles of range left after 40 drag races, which is just insane. But to compare and contrast, because I can, my Scooby, if I drive it like an old lady, I get 280 miles to a full tank, give or take. It's about 75 litre tank. If I drive it how I normally drive it, I get close to 200 miles to a full tank. On track, I get about 35 miles to a full tank. And if I'm drag racing, it's closer to 17 miles to a full tank of petrol. So when people are going on about the range of Teslas when you've been drag racing, I'm like, I don't know what you drive, mate, but it's not a powerful car. The Dodge Hellcat, that's like 7 gallons per quarter mile at full chat. You know, it's ridiculous.
What did it do with it all?
It just burns it, turns it into explosions, and awesome. Into horsepower. But yeah, so after my torque steer experience,
a lot of it goes into making noise and heat rather than go, though.
Well, yeah, was it 50-60% efficient? I think a petrol engine. Diesel 60 to 70% efficient, and the EVs are like 92% or something. It's shocking how poor the efficient most ICE is.
Oh, it's a massive conspiracy, is what it is. The fact that that's still the main mode of transport is a massive freaking con.
Yes, no, I agree. No.
We should have been on EVs since we first had them 100 years ago.
Well, the batteries were crap 100 years ago. I fucked the clutch. Yeah, the batteries were very crap 100 years ago, to be fair.
Yeah, EV development didn't keep pace with the combustion engine, which got really quite good for a while.
It did.
In fact, it's got continually good. It's still getting better. It's probably still getting better now.
Yes, Nissan.
But it's time to stop.
Nissan just announced some new 3-cylinder diesel jobby that they reckon will do, like, you know, whatever it is, 100 miles to the gallon or something, 300 miles to the gallon.
Yeah,
and everyone's like,
but stop.
But they're like, we don't think EVs are the future. Here's a diesel engine.
You should use that diesel to generate electricity.
That is a bit more efficient. Okay, someone's just joined and immediately said sorry. Yes, I'm just annoyed that all of this apparently will have happened 6 months too early, so I can't get the Buzz. The Buzz just ticks all the boxes for me. It's 350 odd miles of range, 350 odd horsepower. It's 4-wheel drive, 111 kilowatt hour battery, 7 seats. It's just.
But you have to buy now. You can't wait.
I have to buy it. As far as I can tell, I have to have given BMW the money by March next year.
Right, and you can't put the money down on the Buzz.
I might be able to. I don't know. So something I will mention to BMW, going, you know, because I've already asked
You give it to a broker.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I want to spend the money this financial year. I did consider just getting like a Honda E and then seeing then trading it in. Like in March or April. Basically getting a Honda E until I can get the buzz and then trading it in. But I don't quite know how much that would cost me, how many thousands of pounds I would lose just for the pleasure of having the car for a while. You went round that whole corner, by the way, with only 3 of your wheels on the ground.
Yeah, felt awesome. I knew that was the right turn. Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, I will get off my arse tomorrow. I meant to do it today, but I just couldn't be bothered, and I will go to Volkswagen and test drive an ID3 and ID4, and BMW and test drive an i3 and a Mini.
That's fine, but then don't come on here talking shit about the i3 because I love it.
Well, I mean, I had this when Hovert, he was going. I was in Holland with projector game stuff, and he was going on about how good Google Glasses was. Google Glass, you know, the Google Cardboard, sorry, Google Cardboard. And I was like, all right. I said, let's have a look. And I looked at it. I went, you've got to be fucking joking me. This is shit. And then I put him on the Oculus CV1. It's like, wow, this is a lot better. Like, if the only thing you've ever driven is a Fiat 500, or Fiat Panda, you'll think some
yeah, definitely.
You've got in a
definitely.
Lamborghini. So I'm sure you think the i3 is brilliant.
No. Well, I do. I don't think it's without its flaws, but I like to focus on the good things about it. So I'm not interested in someone telling me negatives about my car that I've spent money on. I only want to hear nice things about it. So by all means, I'll listen all day if you want to come and tell me what you liked about the i3, but don't bother coming and telling me what it's not good at, because I won't be interested. So I'm going to be driving it for a long time.
Now, I was chatting with Mike, because I was talking about the EV6, and I'm like, there's no way I wouldn't track that at least once, just to see what that amount of go is like when you can actually use it all. Because I mean, BMW, they did do a great promo video of the i3 showing it doing drifting and rallycross, and oh dear. What?
That's weird.
You weren't in the game. You're not in the race. I know you are.
I am now.
Yeah, the guy voted to restart. I got his vote.
Yeah, no, that's sort of my fault. I meant to go to the pits because I was on my roof, but I accidentally pressed vote to restart, and I thought, oh, that's fine. No one else will vote to restart. But I guess they did. That is so cheeky. Oh, it didn't work this time.
That wasn't me. That I didn't. I got slammed by the AI.
Oh.
But no, I'd say I have heard good things about the i3. My reservations are, unfortunately, it's too expensive and not enough range. I expect, certainly compared to the newer cars. Other than that, it would be probably quite a high
There is no perfect car.
Well, say
No, there's not, because everyone would drive a perfect car, wouldn't they?
Well, yeah, what's that Russian one that they made everyone drive? The Lada.
There's no perfect car because in a democracy, everyone would buy that car.
Well, then in that case, it's the Ford Focus is the perfect car. I think that's the most popular car at the minute.
Yeah, and that is definitely soulless.
I've never driven a stock one. A friend of mine had the top of the range one, but it got the most unbelievable story with what happened to it. But that's the one with the independent torque vectoring and drift mode and stuff. And we took it on a track, and he pressed the drift button, and he couldn't work out how to do it. And I said, just do it like a computer game. So he just in the corner, just hit the brake, hit the accelerator, and turned hard. The car goes, oh, you want to drift? I put it into a perfect 33-degree drift around every corner. absolutely incredible.
I've only driven, let's say, work Ford Focuses, and I've no idea what they are, and I don't like them.
No, probably.
We used to have Octavias before that.
I've driven an Octavia, and I was
alright.
thoroughly impressed with it. Really, really, really. Within a year, I drove a high-end Mercedes, a high-end BMW, and a Skoda Octavia, and I was like, why the fuck is the Octavia the best out of all of these? All the features.
Yeah, it's alright.
Really, I've had one on track as well. Guy I know from the arcade took it on track, and he chucked it into corners like I wouldn't dare chuck the Impreza. And the computers, you can feel them desperate to keep the car the right way up and going around the corner. Like, really, really impressive how good modern cars are. I love my Impreza, but it is 23 years old, and it is a mechanical engineering marvel. But it is coming up to a quarter of a century old, and it is being eclipsed by more modern things. It's a shame that Liverspeed doesn't have an electric car.
You just driving up the wall then?
Just bounce off the wall a little bit.
Yeah, it is a shame.
To be fair, these cars have nearly instant torque as well. Like, computer games don't do a very good job of simulating that. The turbo cars are pretty good at this. They do have fairly good turbo lag. But EVs inherently have catch-up because your torque drops off as the faster you're going. So that means that people are going slower than you will catch you up and accelerate quicker.
Yeah, the i3. I don't know what the S is like, but the i3 is very unimpressive over about 55 or 60.
Yeah. Well, say I felt that with the Mocha. I was like 0 to 30, I'm like bloody hell. Then at 30, it's like
Yeah, well, 0 to 10 is even better.
Oh.
Right angle turn.
Basically, that's where I can do something you can't do in an EV. I can preload power into the engine by revving it and then dropping the clutch. So I've got that.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's better than an electric motor though.
Sounds cooler.
Sounds more like things rubbing, wearing out.
Friction. As I said, there's no better smell than burning clutch. You know you've.
I don't know.
I've just fucked the clutch. Never mind. I take back what I was saying.
Powerful electric motors rapidly pushing a car along sound pretty freaking cool as well. I think it's just a kind of cultural thing. Just we'll stop hearing motor cars and start hearing electric motors.
Yeah, they're pretty well. To be fair, unless you're accelerating hard, they're pretty silent. It's a shame that there's no gearing.
What? Electric cars?
Yeah, they just go.
They're not silent. This is a very different sound. It's not that quiet, really.
You and I might live in different worlds with what we consider to be a quiet car.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a different kind of sound, but yeah, they're not loud, but they're definitely not. What you said was like near silent. They're definitely not that.
Well, okay, fine, but I have a fan, and my fan says it's silent, and it's quiet, but it's definitely not silent.
Yeah.
It's a good definition of silent, like relative to a sound. What is silent? Is it probably 18 dB?
No, it's tricky. Like I don't understand logarithmic. I don't understand decibels. So.
See, decibels are easy. Every 3 dB is a doubling of sound, or perceived sound volume. I was
going to say that doesn't help. A doubling of the thing you're trying to understand. Right.
Well, this is the problem with sound. double silence is still silence.
Inverse squares.
So you've got the issue that you can't have something that's 3 dB louder than silence. You have to have a known loud sound. I don't think it'll be loud or quiet relative to that.
And that's before you get into the perception of sound, which can change a lot. Like when it's very quiet and someone makes a soft sound, that sounds loud.
Yeah, so DBA...
Well, we were calling it auto gain control on your ears.
Yes, so DBA is supposed to more closely represent how humans hear things. And you got DBB
Right.
and DBC, and they're a bit more tactical. But yeah, no, you're quite correct. But yeah, I mean, the Honda, if I wasn't booting it, there was no engine whine. It was only when I stopped my foot all the way down and went, that sounds quite nice.
Yeah, it's most stark when you're like, I don't know, manoeuvring it around a driveway or a car park or something. I mean, like my car was made before the law came in that mandated pedestrian warning sounds, so I can creep up on pedestrians all the time.
It's still not. Cars after March 2022 must have it. Right now, cars should have it, but you can disable it. So it's about to come in, which is annoying because.
Well, I don't even have it as an option, so I have to make the sound myself.
Well, what annoys me about this is there was a fucking BBC News article going, "Oh, I'm blind and I need to get run over by EVs." I'm like, fuck off, do you? Bollocks. Have you heard a modern diesel? They don't make any noise at all. There's no noise apart from the tyres. That's it. Don't tell me EVs are not quieter than high-end luxury cars. It's just more anti-EV bullshit.
Yeah, I know what you mean. However, as I say, driving at pedestrians slowly, they definitely don't hear me coming, and that's, I think, purely to do with, like, completely to do with conditioning. Like, your whole life you've got attuned to the low rumble or even the feel of an approaching car as you're crossing a road, and EVs don't do that. So you will step out into a road because you don't sense a car coming. So I think the pedestrian warning sound, even though it's awful and it's such a shame to make something quiet noisy again, I think it's very well, and I think the intention is sound.
Yeah, the problem is I've had people step out in front of my Cruiser, my Impreza, everything. So loud noises still get ignored. And as I said, this is I despite not being an EV owner, I do see all of this anti-EV
Whoa,
fun.
freeze.
I did freeze. I see all this anti-EV fun, and it annoys the piss out of me. And did you see the one about the particulates of the tyres?
Well, hang on, I was just going to say, wait till you get very quickly fed up of people talking about range. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, particulates on the tyres is a brilliant one. There was a study that showed that for every kilometre you drove, 8 grams of particulates comes off the tyres on an EV because they're so heavy. I'll let you think of...
What, because the cars are heavy?
Yeah, because our cars are heavy, you're scrubbing off 8 grams of particulates off the tyres for every kilometre. I'll let that sink in for a moment.
Yeah.
Think about what I just said. How much do you think a tyre weighs?
Well, no, just think about how long you'd have to build up anything significant. 8 grams at a time, quite a long distance.
No, not at all. After 100 kilometres, that's nearly a kilo. So this paper got... So, what I just said means that you're putting the lifespan of tyres at about 400 to 500 kilometres before there's no tyre left, because you've emitted it all as particles. What the study meant to say was 8 grams of particulates per 1,000 kilometres, but they didn't. So everyone ran with this EV.
Oh, that's what you said. Yeah, I was thinking kilo, 1,000. You meant 1 kilometre.
1 kilometre,
not
yes.
1,000.
Yep, 8 grams per 1 kilometre, and the Sun start running with this, and this is worse than diesel cars and all of this sort of.
Yeah. You did say that. For some reason, I instantly turned it into something believable.
Yeah, no, it's absolute like what? And yeah, it just, you know, and the best one that I love is, but you know, the batteries are just in landfill. Now, we mentioned catalytic converters earlier, so a catalytic converter, a knackered one, still goes for between 10 and 50 quid, because they're worth about. A knackered EV battery is still worth like 10 grand sometimes. So there's no way these things are going to landfill. Like, people nick the catalytic converters off cars, they're worth so much. And I'll give it a
People
whirl.
whinge about the tyres on the i3 not lasting very long.
Sorry. Because
And they're about 100 quid each as well, because they're not much demand for those skinny tyres.
yeah, I have the similar issue on the smart car. They're very wide, 13-inch rims. They're very unusual. You get similar problem on the Ninja. People complain the tyres on those can last as little as 300 miles. Now, bear in mind, you are putting soft compound onto a single drive tyre with 200 horsepower going through it. And if you drive aggressively, you'll get through them very, very fast.
Mine's got slightly wider tyres at the back than at the front because it's a Rex, but the BEV has all the same tyres, I think. I don't know why that is, but it just is.
You should put the
Whee!
four tyres on the ground. Oh, you've got it. That's it. Excellent. What did I say?
Like this. Like
That's
this?
good, that's good, yeah.
I don't know if I'm going the right way now.
Well,
No, wrong way.
Towards me.
Yeah, why do you think the Rex has bigger tyres?
Was the Rex...
More weight?
Yeah, so the Rex had... that was the one with the little diesel engine in it, or a motorbike engine or something, wasn't it, to charge the...
Moped engine, yeah.
Moped, yeah.
BMW moped engine.
It could have been the way. It's possible also... So the thing about skinny tyres is it'll increase your range by decreasing your grip. It's a fairly terrifying thing coming out of Europe anyway. They are reducing the safety of tyres by making them quieter, which inherently reduces grip.
So the stated benefits of the thinner tyres are more aerodynamic and take up less space inside the car, and one of the natty things is you can turn on a dime. They say that they're designed, and because of the rubber they've chosen to use, so that the contact patch, whilst elongated, is the same area contact patch as would have been with a wider tyre. A smaller radius, wider tyre.
This sounds like fancy talk for soft compound, which means will wear quicker.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do wear quickly.
That reminds me, by the way, of what I'm talking about subscription features.
No, the grip's fine, by the way. I
Yeah.
think the grip's fine. I've never heard anyone have an issue with it.
Well, I shall look it up. There is a standard measurement, which is how fast can you go around a 300-yard radius corner. Like, what is the G-force?
Yeah, there's also there's a neat little contact patch calculator online that we were using the other day for everyone to compare their contact patches. You plug in the values that you know.
I was mentioning earlier about subscription features hidden away behind a paywall. It was the one that's been making the rounds is one of the very, very high-end Mercedes. If you don't pay the subscription, the rear wheels have 3.5 degrees of steering, and if you do pay the subscription, the rear wheels have 10 degrees of steering, allowing you to do very, very tight turns and to crab sideways on the motorway. And they're locking away the range of motion behind a subscription plan.
I mean, is there a downside to having that extra feature?
Well, you're having to pay money for it.
No, other than that, I mean...
No, it's a nice feature to have.
That's just really cynical.
Well, I mean, I love the future mostly, but I mean, a couple of months ago I couldn't use my television because it had to download an update from the internet, and I had to wait for it to patch. And I don't like the future. And I know I've evangelised about the Xbox downloading shit in the background, but it fucking refuses to sometimes. I go to play something, it goes, oh, there's a patch. I'm like, I've been watching Netflix on you for an hour. Why do you now have to download a patch? What have you been doing?
Yeah, I've noticed sometimes that the time it takes to switch on a PC, load some modern games, wait in a queue or download a patch or download data for a mobile game or something. By the time you actually get into the game, it's not that different to how long it took to load up, to switch on a Spectrum, which is instantly, and load a game from tape.
I honestly, one of my new favourite websites has become xbox.com/play. I'll just go click, and I'll be right in, and it's so quick. I love it.
Right. So what you've got there is basically a NES.
Yeah. But I mean, I can stream from my Xbox inside my house, but I've just taken to streaming off the internet because it's quicker. And not quite such good quality, not quite such good latency, but you don't really notice. All Xbox streaming is now off Series X's, not Series S's now. So they've got rid of all of the old hardware from the data center.
I mean, you know me, I'm a big fan of cloud gaming, but it's just not good for twitchy stuff. Like I've struggled to find good experience playing Overwatch on a cloud PC.
Yes. I mentioned before, I was trying to work out, and I meant to, how many hours a month you would need to put into cloud gaming before it became cheaper than running it at your house. Because Xbox Live Ultimate for streaming, I think, is £8, which is 14 pence an hour, and I can't divide it in my head.
I pay 29 quid a month for Shadow.
I can't do it, I'm busy driving. 30.
I think it's about 29.99 a month, so it's about 360 quid a month a year.
Yeah, if you game for more than 24 hours a month, it's cheaper, assuming that you've got a Chromecast style device that's almost no energy at all. It's cheaper on electricity to let Microsoft pay the electricity bill than it is to run an Xbox actually in your house. Amazing.
Yeah. So say Shadow's 360 a year, and then you'll get someone going, I'm not going to pay that. I could just build my own gaming rig. To which at the moment the response is, oh yeah, where are you going to buy a GPU from then?
Well, now that's all right. That's settled down again now, thankfully. The GPU market has solved itself. Actually, you could probably... so your argument is that it's much cheaper to lease than to buy outright, basically.
No. Just that it's not actually a bad value proposition, paying 30 quid a month for a gaming PC.
So, help me with a dichotomy. I have thought about buying the Honda, and I've thought about leasing the Honda, but somehow my brain is going, £30,000, yeah, that's pretty good, that's not bad value, it's not great range, but it's not bad for, all the features you get. But my brain at the same time goes, £400 a month? Fuck that off. Bear in mind, £400 a month is about 8.5 years before it equals 32,000. So why is that? Is it that my brain can comprehend 400 but can't comprehend 30,000?
I know exactly what you mean. I spent a couple of hours watching lots of videos called things like "Why Lease," and that helped me wrap my head around it.
But my main issue is I don't really want to be tied into a contract for even 2 years, really. I want one for a year, really. Because I suspect by this time next year, there'll be something else I want to try.
Yeah, we'll just sell it after a year then.
Yeah, but then I've sold cars before, and it's way too much effort to get a decent sale, and I don't want to do that. As you said, if I lease a car, you know that you're paying for the depreciation, but you can be sure that you're paying exactly the depreciation plus a fixed profit. They've done all the calculations for you.
Yeah, and also you budget for it based on your incomings and outgoings. At the end of the 3 years, you might just change to a brand new, same or different car, and just continue your budget. So it's a subscription, if you like, more than a purchase.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm cool with that, but over the next 10 years, I'd like to lease 10 different cars, not 3 different cars. And that's where I can't...
I've got so many subscriptions in my life, and I don't need to take anything to the grave with me, so I don't really need to amass ownership of things that I can just lease.
Yeah, but my thing is, I can't really... Very few places offer only a 2-year lease. I haven't found anywhere offering a 1-year lease. Most places want you to lease for 4 years.
I don't think it's a thing, is it?
I don't know. I haven't found any, right? I don't want to lease it 4
No.
years. In 4 years' time, that car's going to be ancient. I assume, I believe that automation and EV tech will move very quickly over the next 10 years. I don't want to get...
No, I think the most popular by far is 3 and 4 year leases, probably about equally, but probably slightly pipped by the 3 year, and then 5 after that. I don't really see any other options.
Yeah, well, that's the problem I had. I couldn't find any.
Yeah, I don't think I've never heard of it.
Well, I want it.
Why don't you start a company that does 1 year leases then?
Well, it's probably a really inefficient and expensive way to do it, is the answer to your question.
Yeah. I mean, I'll lease you a car for a year if you like.
Give me some numbers.
I'll charge you
there goes
about
my
half the.
Half the value of the
I'll
car.
charge you about half the value of the car per year.
But yeah, the thing is, I don't know. I just wish I could get the buzz. The buzz is all I want. I'm happy with that. It's just great. If I did get another
What's
car,
the lead time on ordering?
Don't know. It's not been announced. Not officially. Not. It's definitely coming out next year. That's all anybody knows.
Right. I think it's time to stop.
Yeah. Apparently the ID4 and ID5, ID3 and ID4, I was chatting with the dealer. Apparently BMW just went to them, yeah, you're getting them all in next month. Get ready to sell them. With no sort of warning that it was coming at all. So,
Sure, they didn't mind.
well, maybe the same thing happened with the Buzz, I don't know. I have to
All
find
they need
out.
to do is add some rows to their spreadsheets, I'm sure.
Make some room. Yes. Well, thank you for coming along. Always fun.
Yeah.
I don't know why you and Shaq were having so much trouble on this track in this car. I seem to be just honing you two. I don't know why, particularly.
Well, Rusty today. I've not been playing
Ah.
enough speed.
Well, I also knackered my clutch in 4 laps every time, so that doesn't help.
Oh yeah, Sharka kept doing that, didn't he? I kept
If you play
about 3 laps
if you
going
play
past
an,
him.
yeah, if you play an automatic, you won't get it. It's when you are using the manual gearbox, you have to take your
Yeah, I
foot off
know,
the
but-
accelerator.
Yeah, but what's changed? Because I always play automatic.
It's-
Sharka started doing manual.
No, Shaq always does manual. But it's this car. This
So
car
why is he having a problem today?
this car has
right,
quite a
okay.
weak gearbox, a weak clutch. You have to be a little bit more careful.
Right. All right. Catch you later.
Bye.
Right.
And I don't know if anyone's out listening to me out there in internet land. If you are, do feel free to say hi in chat. I am just going to baby this car home. I feel I should start up a channel talking about EVs or something. I watched a review of the God, was it Corsa E and the Citroen Peugeot 208E, and it was just so boring because the reviews might sort of gone, these are cars, they do all car things that cars do. Not a single donut, no 0 to 60s. Psst. Well, thank you for watching, Internet. You're lovely. See you tomorrow.